It's behind the shelf under the three bricks, basically, where there's an X marks the spot. Oh, never mind. Sorry, you can't see. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us. We're a little bit late, but better late than never. I'm going to mute myself while Dee tells you who can be here. Go for it, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get out. That means you're
That's the way
talk to you.
indeed. Cheers, folks. Welcome to the show. If you guys are hanging with us, we would love to talk to you. We would love to hear from you. If you are new to the show, if you are unfamiliar with the show, if you have just heard about it from a friend or something, please, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, welcome. Cheers, Jones and to Grow, first in the chat. Welcome to the show. High Noon Safety Meeting is all about checking your condition that your condition is in, basically in the middle of the day, checking in with friends, having a small time to, smoke a joint, do a couple of dabs maybe, and then get back with your day. So, folks, we're usually here for about an hour and 20 minutes or so. Sometimes we're here for less if the show doesn't really take off. Every once in a while, rarely, I'll let the show go for a couple hours. But generally speaking, this Wednesday show is just kind of a short little morsel of fun, like a dessert or something in the middle of your day. Bonjour, Christophe. Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, big
We've already
force.
got a couple cool people holding it down in the chat. Folks, if you'd like to know what kind of a show it is, visualize a cannabis pub or a cannabis cafe, your choice, honestly. It could be both, to be frank, because bars sometimes sell coffee. Basically, you're welcome to join us in this cannabis cafe slash bar, as long as you follow some very simple rules that I'll tell you about in a second. But basically, imagine, it's very hard to imagine because there isn't such a thing, a bar or cafe that people around the world frequent. People from France. We have already someone from France hanging with us. We have people of France, of La France. We have people
Uh-huh.
from Australia. We have people from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa sometimes tuning
Right.
in. A couple other countries in Africa as well. I want to say who has tuned in. Zambia one time. That kind of made more sense. But I was going to say some North African country. Someone tuned in one time. It was really unusual. It was Algeria, maybe. Anyway,
Okay.
regardless, that doesn't happen very often, but we would love to hear from some of those folks. We get people from all over the world, folks, and you're welcome to come join us. Dee was trying to show that picture. He's welcome to do it now. Folks, there's a very simple rule to come on the show. Don't be a dick, don't show your dick, and don't be a fucking lunatic. Dee is struggling with his graphics today. Our
Yeah.
extensive graphics budget needs to be increased by at least, I don't know, 75%.
I think they did an update on
I think that's what they
their
did, yeah. You see, we spend literal fives of dollars on this. We should probably spend literal tens, and then maybe we can solve the problem. I'm kidding. There we go. Behold the one commandment, ladies and gentlemen, no fucking dicks. We don't want to see your dick. We don't want you to be a dick, and we don't want you to be a lunatic. Honestly, obviously, lunatic is not the same as a dick, but it rhymes, so please get the message, ladies and gentlemen. Even the most dumb of you probably can get that message. So please remember, we have a zero tolerance policy for nonsense on the show. I can't emphasize enough how close to zero it is. It's actually negative zero. Like I actually kind of actively want to remove people. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's absolutely yeah, we don't get any trolling anymore because the trolls know they will just be deleted before anyone even reads their comments. But just a fair warning, basically, if you have any interest or whatever in causing shenanigans, go do it somewhere else where you'll be rewarded. Where you'll be rewarded. But folks, we would love to hear from you if you are here for the spirit of just chill vibes and goofing off with cannabis conversation and hanging out with good friends. Please be an adult, of course, as we said. We don't have any interest in talking to children. But other than that, folks, the rules are quite flexible. You're welcome to come on here. If you have a differing opinion, you're more than welcome to hop on here. Please just don't pull it straight out of your ass, basically. A lot of people these days do. There's a viral video going around. I've only watched little parts of it. Although, to be honest, those people, I'm using a bad example. Those people were not pulling it out of their ass. So I guess I was going to say that there's a viral video that I need to sit down and watch for about an hour and a half because it's apparently a good video with Sam Cedar, who's been a radio host, I guess also a voice actor for a number of years. I think he does Bob's Burgers. But anyway, he's, I think, mainly known as I guess you could say progressive podcaster. He was on Radio America and all that kind of stuff, or Air America, I think they were called. Anyway, uh, he's debating or discussing with like 30 conservative influencers. And the parts that I saw were kind of unhinged. The conservatives live in a different universe. So again, that wasn't the perfect. I blended two stories together. My apologies for that. But just finishing the story about what that video was. Anyway, folks, we would love to hear from you in the chat. We would love to talk to you. So I'll clarify what I was trying to say. We would love to hear opinions that aren't just ours, because it's a pretty uninteresting discussion. We just basically talk to the choir. But we would like you to bring your uh, A game, basically. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, honestly, without making it sound like I'm trying to make you do a bunch of onerous work that you probably won't want to do. But basically, do your homework. Don't come here half-cocked. Come full-cocked like your mom likes it.
Well,
Basically, come with, if you have a controversial opinion, please bring the controversy behind it, I guess I could say. Anyway, I'm not making any sense, so I'm just going to hand it off to D. What's going on, buddy? Welcome.
there we go. What's going on, chat? What's going on, panel? Hope everyone's having a great day, being safe. I'm actually having some leftovers. We went to Mrs. D's mama's last night, and she
Oh,
had
right on. Shit, ham
so
what?
hamburgers.
Oh, right on.
So I'm just having leftover hamburger.
Right on.
I'm smoking. I will be smoking on Super Pink Kush shortly. What's everyone's chatting on in chat? Cheers, everybody, and don't forget Top Chat, Live Chat for your better chatting experience. And if you want to come and hang out on the show, like Shimi said, just ask anybody with the blue name, like me.
That's it.
And
Very good point.
post
Thank you,
link
D.
for you.
Folks, if you want to hop on the show, you're welcome to hop on the show. So I guess I didn't clarify that. I oftentimes do, and I didn't today. Folks, we would love to hear from you in the chat. There's absolutely almost no threshold for you to talk to us in the chat. You have to be a civilized person. You have to avoid making fun of anyone on the panel. I won't accept any sniping from the audience. If you want to make fun of somebody, you have to hop on the panel. Even then, it's not allowed. But if you want to not be a coward and not get insta banned, you would have to hop on the panel and actually show your face, basically, and then you can say whatever mean words you want to say. But from the chat, we don't tolerate anything. I think it's pretty simple. Anyone who basically wants to, or how do I put it? Anyone who gets out of their comfort zone to hop on the show and chat with us and show their face and talk about their grow, I think deserves the benefit of the doubt not to be made fun of. Even if they are saying something silly or whatever else, I think you can say that they're saying something silly in a nice way instead of making fun of them. Sometimes we've gotten people sniping in the chat, and I think it's a very easy way for people to feel tough and powerful without having any consequences, and so that's why the consequences are insta fucking ban. On this channel, you don't get to snipe the panel for no reason. But we would love to hear from anyone in the chat that is able to be a civilized person. We don't have any particular rules for you other than just don't be a fucking jerk off. You know what I mean? Pretty difficult to show your dick in the chat, so that's a lot easier, honestly. So just be a reasonable person. If you want to hop onto the panel, excuse me, you're more than welcome to hop on the panel, but please, like I said, just don't be a dick, don't show your dick, and ask for the link. That's all you got to do. We'd love to hear from you folks. Welcome, folks. Pretty slow chat so far, so we're going to see how this goes. Folks, as always, we're not a community center. This is not a community center basically for you to just throw down your bag and wait for 10 minutes while your train is coming. It is an intentional show, basically, so if nobody hops on here in the next little bit, D and I have plenty of other things to do, so we'll just bounce, honestly. Sometimes these shows take off really well, and sometimes they don't, so I guess we'll have to play it by ear, honestly. We'll see if some folks hop on here. Please be welcome to do so. D, what's going on with you, buddy? We just talked to you yesterday, but what's new? Tell us about the. I was gonna say. Well, I guess I don't have to interrupt you with the fucking congealed fat story. I was gonna tell you. Go for it. What is this? So we're gonna three. So indoor. Gosh, that is almost gone. This one by default. We can't hear you, D.
Oh, for fuck's sakes! There we go. We already did me, but that's okay.
Oh, right on.
But I was gonna say I forgot to mention this yesterday. I did a quick little scamming thing. I did get access to another mailbox, scamming
Hmm.
mailbox. So I changed the password on the
Hmm.
mailbox and all the voicemails again, saying this is a scamming number. Hang up and don't call back.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
That's
anyways, back to you, Freemy.
It's a
What are
sad
you
world
smoking?
that we live in where we have these kind of impervious scammers worldwide that there's nothing that can really be done about them. Ironically, they're actually outlaws where they are. Like in India, they're not actually allowed to do what they do, but because they're harming people in another country, it creates this whole legal dead zone, basically. The US cops sometimes have the same issue where a US person violates someone else's laws overseas, but doesn't actually break an American law. There's very little that they can do unless the foreign police fucking contact them. Such a strange situation, but you know, that's our modern world where everything's a fucking scam and everyone's trying to get each other. Folks, do say hello in the chat. We would love to hear from you. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but hopefully, well, we have some good people in here. Love for the plants in the house. What's going on, buddy? Another one of the blue names. Finding keepers in here. He says, I don't like Grey Poupon.
What are you
Uh, what's that?
What are you smoking on, Jimmy?
I am smoking on some sour Morgana. I don't have very much of it left, but this is some of the outdoor. I have basically like 2.5 joints left of some indoor sour Morgana that's stupid frosty. Last time I grew it in the other garage I used to live in, and then I've got probably oh, if I really break them up and don't have nice big joints, maybe 5 joints of the sour Morgana outdoor. So I'm gonna have a relatively small joint. Forgive me, folks, but running low, as it were. Only barely just started flower next door with just how many plants do I have in there? Just 4 plants, just 4 little mothers. Uh, we'll see how that run goes, actually. 2 of the plants are super happy, ready to go. Everything's great. But 2 of the plants clearly were not ready to be flowered yet. So I'm like, oh, okay. And they were basically mothers, so they're in slightly small pots. They are in I think one of them is a 7 and the rest are 5s, which is, if you ever have heard from me before, that's ridiculously small for a flower pot. I usually flower in 20s, 25s, 30s. So these were definitely mothers. But I need weed, So I was like, okay, I can either wait on this, or I can wait on that, or I can wait on that, or I can wait on that, or I can just throw these fuckers in the tent and go. And so that was the idea, basically. I trimmed them up a little bit from the garage. They were basically the best looking plants in that poor garage. It was so fucking cold for so long. And set it up here. I really didn't want to break up my grow area because it splits your focus, it splits your attention, you name it. Just you have to double your equipment in many cases. I have to get another dehumidifier here in the very near future, which is just a waste of electricity because now I have 2 dehumidifiers running.
Yeah.
Also a waste of money, on and on and on. It's just like, geez, and another failure point potentially if you have basically multiple areas and stuff. So it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, I wanted to do it all in the garage, but it's just not going to happen. I would have to invest, for anyone who hasn't heard me say this before, I'd have to invest a bunch in the garage. I'd have to basically get a new panel. Unfortunately, the panel's full because I got like a heat pump and all this stuff. And so I can't put an accessory panel in there. And it's a real shame, honestly. It would be a perfect place to grow, but whatever. Maybe I'll be able to grow there some of the time. Uh, I think I can still make it a staging area for my outdoor crop, but in fact, I'm sure I can make it a staging area. That doesn't seem like a problem. But yeah, as like a dependable indoor grow, I don't know, man. I have my veg in there right now, but I'm not sure if that's a long-term solution because again, it got so cold in the winter that veg just basically shut down. So it's a shame. It was so easy in where did I put those papers? It was so easy in the basement way back when that I used to grow in. I'd really like to get another house with a basement, but we'll see if that's a reality. Cheers, Coffee Pot. What's going on, buddy? Welcome. I have to be honest, like many people, I'm wondering what the long-term trajectory of this country is. And like many people, kind of looking to have maybe one door or 1 foot out the door, essentially, because I feel like this country could certainly fix itself, but I'm definitely worried that it won't, and it's going to go down a pretty dark path if it does.
Maybe in 4 years. No.
We'll see. We'll see. He's certainly not making any favors, I think, with all these He just tariffed Australia now. Like basically everybody except for Russia is going to be tariffed. And you can ask yourself why that would be. But long story short, he's going to essentially alienate us from every one of our friends in such a way that it cannot be fixed. Actually, that's the thing people don't realize. Uh, the U.S. has been the dominant guarantor and beneficiary and bedrock of the entire modern globalist world order, for better or for worse, right? Because I haven't always been a big fan of globalism, but like it or not, it's the system that we're in right now. And giving up that system unilaterally for something new is just going to lead to a huge amount of chaos that nobody really knows what the end point or even goal of is. That was bad English. Cheers. Somebody else just hopped in that I didn't say hello to. Cheers, J5. What's going on, buddy? Who else
Three.
in
I got
here?
3 words to explain the Trump
Go
and
figure.
Russia. Who's who's your Vladdy?
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah.
Somehow he'll insult and attack and belittle and demean everybody except for Daddy Putin.
Yeah.
He
Hope for the
loves
best
Daddy Putin.
for that.
Cheers, Mark Rich. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome. Who else is hanging with us here? Uh, Jones and to grow. I've got Wi-Fi 43. Tell me how it comes out. He says just the facts. About to chop Wi-Fi 43 and a citrus funky gal called Acapulco Durban. That sounds amazing. Great name. Doubt it's really Acapulco. Oh, that's disappointing. About 73. Smoking on some non-drowsy Oblivion in my pipe. Nice. Uh, that's another one I haven't grown yet. I think it would be a real banger. That's the memory loss to the Coot Special. Memory loss from archive. So that's the amnesia haze, real deal amnesia haze, because of course it's archive. They don't fuck around. Real deal amnesia haze to their, oh, I literally always forget. Is it to their do-si-do or to their face-off? I think it's to their do-si-do. Cheers, Crime Over Grows. Good to see you, buddy. So a little bit small, but it's a serviceable sour Morgana 3 joint here.
Five more. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah.
Mark and Jack and Crymore and Miss
Folks, we got
Cronin.
enough people to hop on here. I would love to hear from some new voices and actually have some conversation that isn't just me talking out loud. Ladies and gentlemen, hop on here. You know the rules. Please do hop on here. If we don't get anyone on here in the next 15, 20 minutes, we're just going to bag it because there's no point in D and me just sitting here and looking at each other. D has scams to bait, and I have other stuff to do.
Yeah. They're freaking rampant today.
Dude, it's sad, honestly. So many fucking scammers. And I get, oh my God, for a while, because I'm on all the do not call lists and everything, right, that everyone could get on. But even still, I get 5 or 10 on my cell phone, by the way. I don't have a home phone. On my cell phone, I get 5 or 10 scam calls a day easily from random numbers. And it'll be slightly different numbers, for example, same area code, but slightly different last 4 digits, for
You
example.
know
So
what?
it's obviously a dialer, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A Vicky
ridiculous.
dialer.
Hmm.
Yeah, Vicky dialer. Here, I'll show you guys in a second. This thing's so slow. You're so slow.
Mom is so slow because she's so fat.
Yeah. So here's all the ones that are today. Look, Apple.
Mm.
Starting with this one here that I just highlighted. That's starting today. It goes all the way down here. This is 2 hours ago now.
And what's the context? These are ones that you interacted with or what?
This is a site, one of the sites I use that other scam baiters use. It's a scam baiting site, and I can just go and call any of these numbers and screw with them.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is just today. I'll pick up the speed a little bit here.
Have you
Oh,
heard of the Nana AI? I can't remember what the name of it is. But they
uh,
basically get an AI to talk to the scammers, and it's an
yes,
intentionally ignorant and slow Nana, basically. So it's an AI
yes,
that's deliberately supposed to take forever to come up with any simple answers and gets confused super easily.
that's funny you said that. Um, what's his name now? Is it Nano Bader? I forget exactly. It was Jim Browning, which is the godfather of scam baiting, also the godfather of Soul,
Nice.
James Brown. Anyways, him and another guy
Hardest working
collabed.
man in show business.
Him and another guy.
Hoorah!
Him and another guy collabed with thing you're talking about. They made a new grandma AI thing. where they actually like you said, you interact with them with the messages, and they're right now at the point where they're programming it to add like multiple of like all the different words
Oh yeah,
and everything
that's
into
easy
it.
enough to do. Yeah,
So yeah, so they can keep it going for hours and hours.
yeah.
And
It's honestly really disturbing and scary that the world we're going to be in the very near future. We're already in that world. We just don't realize it, to be honest. There was a really great video, unfortunately, from the Daily Mail, but it was in conjunction with Frontline that I was watching yesterday. It's two parts, but I only watched the first part. I don't know if the second part is still coming out about the drones and robots in Ukraine. I wonder if I can find a link for that real fast. It was super fascinating, but also really scary. Most of the robots that they showed in the show, except for the dog was developed in the US, I believe, but perfected in Ukraine. But most of the robots they show are Ukrainian developed, and they're literally war robots that wander the field with both cameras, infrared cameras. Also, some of them are both controlled and visually operated from drones that are flying overhead. So essentially, you have a potentially kill robot. These robots could lay landmines. They have tested, although they didn't show it, but they were very coy about the fact that, yeah, they have tested uh, 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 both robot dogs as well as tracked robots that have guns and
oh shit,
what else? Grenade launchers and everything. Basically, everything that a soldier can do, essentially, these fucking robots can do. Where did I find that? I found it. Maybe I just found it on YouTube. Um,
I
I'm gonna look at my history. But the journalist, I can't think of his name right now. He said something quite pithy, actually. He said, "This is not the future of warfare. This is today, because it is literally what we're already dealing with." I'm just gonna fucking Google it. Daily Mail.
I heard also that you guys were getting a golden shield or whatever, like Ukraine or um. Oh my god, the name just where you came back from a while ago. I can't think of the place. Oh my god, my
Oh,
mind's gone
shit.
blank. Um,
The annoying thing is that I watch this on my fucking TV, and the goddamn YouTube sometimes doesn't give you the TV history. Why can't I find this fucking video? Maybe it's just on the Daily Mail's website. Oh, there
like
it is,
you.
right there, literally right there. Boom.
Thank you.
So I'll show a little bit without showing the audio so that I can actually talk about. Oh, look at that. North Star's hopping on. Right there. Come on. So this is the dog,
Here, boy.
right? And he was kind of fucking around, like, 'cause it's kind of cute, but it's piloted by a human being, and it's meant to war with you. So, for example, that robot right there is armored. It can have an actual 7.62 cannon on it. What
Hey,
else?
honey, honey.
Like, yeah, it's no fucking joke, honestly.
Sweet.
And they have an entire department, and these are all 20 somethings. The guy that runs this entire division is apparently one of the richest guys in Ukraine, just a billionaire who is very pro-Ukraine nationalistic, and so he just basically sponsors this. Although they didn't explicitly say that, but the understanding I think was that he sponsors that. This is evidently the commander. The dude's 22 years old, and he's a commander of this uh, brigade. There we go. Anyway, cheers, North Star. What's going on? Welcome.
Hey, North Star.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing all right. What's the good word of you?
Freaking pouring out here now. I got a storm upon me, and
Is it really?
yeah, it's just getting crappy. It's getting worse. I got done as much as I could earlier today, and
Oh,
calling it a day. And freaking shoulder is hurting like hell. So
oh yeah.
I'm on my third joint already here.
Hmm. There's the link, folks, if you guys want to watch that. North Star, I was just talking about this link about how did I get on the subject? Oh, we were talking about AI and stuff, how much everything is changing. So the robotics explosion hasn't really happened yet. People, I think, are unprepared, maybe, kind of like everyone has been unprepared for AI. AI has been filtering through for the last couple, 3 years, but robotics is about to explode in a big fucking way. And it's
Oh yeah,
definitely exploded in
I
the war
agree.
field. Anyway, cheers, Polly Figs. Good to see you in the chat. What would you do for a Klondike brain? Vanquish Kind's in the house. Good to see you. Of course, Patricia. Good to see
Yeah, I
you as
just
well.
saw a video of the day with one of those like Boston Dynamic kind of style like dog robots. It had a person basically on the back of it, and it was riding around on the fucking robot. It could handle enough weight, whatever model it was they had made. It was pretty interesting. It was like you could see like a futuristic like cavalry riding on robotic horses, something kind of going on.
That
Thing
was,
almost.
as far as I know, that was the first use case that the Marines thought of when they saw those Boston robots, robotic style robots, because their idea wasn't that it's going to be an attack robot. It would basically pack everything for the Marines, take all the
Yeah.
ammunitions, all the grenades, all the super heavy shit that, humans don't want to carry. Makes perfect sense.
Well, yes, they were showing off basically. The guy was sitting on his back and it was going over like logs and climbing stuff, and he was just holding on to it. So like it could hold whatever that guy. It wasn't the biggest guy, but I guarantee he was at least 160, 170
Sure.
pounds for sure. So
And it doesn't complain, it doesn't get tired,
Exactly.
it doesn't, it doesn't talk back,
Well,
it doesn't get scared when the enemy starts
doesn't
shooting
get
at
scared
it.
shot at.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which will be really
forward,
disconcerting, right? Like as human animals, we're related to all the animals in the world. So we have this very realistic sense that if someone were shooting at us, we would want to run away. And if we were shooting at someone, they would want to run away. But imagine a group of robots coming at you. They won't run away. You'll be shooting at them and they'll have no fear from you. That will be very, very, very disconcerting. Like imagine being a soldier in Ukraine and having these unfeeling, unthinking robots coming after you. Like fuck that with a stick. No, thank you.
And at the same time, you gotta start thinking like, well, if I give up, are they going to even recognize that? If I'm like, I surrender, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, exterminate.
Depends on their programming. Yeah.
A perfect example. A perfect example of that is the Borg.
Or the Daleks, exterminate.
Yeah.
Well, the Borgs are very nice. Yeah. They'll just assimilate you. They want you to be part of the club. They really just want to be loved. The Borg are just very misunderstood. They just really wanted love.
Here we go.
Folks, hop on here. We'd love to.
They gave me nightmares as like a 5-year-old and 4-year-old watching Doctor Who from the
Daleks.
The guy generate. I don't know what generation. He got the long ass scarf and the freaking like afro-y hair. That doctor. I remember watching them.
And the best part is the villains were always so comically ridiculous. Like the Daleks, literally, it's a toilet plunger and shit. Like it's just so ridiculous. But it's still pretty good. Still scared an entire generation of kids.
Oh my goodness.
Great. What I wouldn't give for a TARDIS though. Holy shit, can you imagine growing in that fucking TARDIS? He's got like swimming pools so if you guys don't know Doctor Who, he's this he's actually an alien. He's a Time Lord from a different planet, the planet Gallifrey, that apparently doesn't exist anymore. He's one of the last, if not the last Time Lords. So anyway, he has this spaceship basically, space and time shit, because he's a Time Lord, right? And it can travel space and time. And the most important thing is not even that it can travel space, but that it can go to any time, from the beginning of time to the end of time, da 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 da. And it's this a cool spaceship. On the outside, it just looks like a call box, like literally like a public telephone box, and it's very specifically a British telecom call box, basically. Kind of like we had these what were they? Just the regular phone booths with the glass. They all basically look the same. So the British phone booths all look the same. And his cover story is that nobody really pays attention to a call box, right? Which is kind of true when you think about it. Nobody really pays attention to the phone booth and shit. People have hidden. Like there's been all kinds of crimes over the years where like a murderer just stands there in the phone booth because no one looks at the fucking phone booth. Anyway, so the TARDIS. Time and relative dimension in space. I guess I'm a fucking nerd for Doctor Who. It's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, because it's basically this time. And then they never actually explain how it works, because of course, I mean, they're not Time Lords. They're just people that write the story. But the whole idea is that they're warping time and space to have this enormous thing inside. So he's got like swimming pools, and the joke is like, oh, I was in the library, I was in the da 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 da, and no one ever gets to see these rooms, but he apparently has like multiple rooms that no one even remembers. Anyway, cheers, Pip Jam MBF, Pip Jam from the old. There we go, right there. Pip Jam, how recognizable is one of those call boxes? Like when you see those, do you think of the TARDIS or do you think of a call box? I'm honestly curious, because when I see it, I think of Doctor Who. Like for me, that's just Doctor Who.
Glad you too.
Yep. Great if cheesy show. I have to be honest. Don't expect it's not quite the same pacing and storytelling and everything else is like I was going to say Western story. That's kind of insulting, but like an American story. Like for example, if the Americans told that story, they would tell it very differently. So it's kind of funny. Anyway.
Oh, I bet like years ago, when taking my kids trick or treating in our little neighborhood area down the hill here, some kid went as Doctor Who, and he had a fucking TARDIS on a dolly that his dad was pushing around behind him. So he come out of the TARDIS and walk. Like, this kid is really come out of the TARDIS and walk up to the front door to get his
legit
stuff.
Yeah.
And Dad pushes him around, so he doesn't have to walk around all night. It was brilliant.
Oh, that's fantastic. Pip Jam is saying Doctor Who. Excuse me. And there's been like, oh my God, 20 or maybe more different Doctor Who's. The in-universe story is that he can regenerate. Time Lords, when they reach the end of their current whatever, when they're almost near death, they can regenerate basically. And originally they were only supposed to regenerate a certain number of times, but the show has been a success so many times that they retconned that. And sure enough, the Doctor can regenerate multiple times. And by the way, they can be men, women. So they've switched a couple times. Used to be all dudes basically, but sometimes there's an old dude, sometimes a young dude, and now it's a couple times been a woman.
The Doctor can live on for as long as he is profitable.
That's it. That's exactly it.
That's how it works.
Pip Jam says you only
really... he fucking makes money. What's that, D?
Pip Jam saying you only really see the police boxes in London. Pretty obsolete.
Oh,
now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, they're almost phone booths are almost completely obsolete in the U.S. To the point that whenever you find one, you find tourists snapping pictures of it. So when I was at the Getty Center, famously at the Getty, well, I don't know how famous, but people that go there, they know this. The Getty Museum in I don't know if both of them have it, but I know, for example, the Getty Museum, the actual one on the top of the hill, not the Getty Villa, has a public telephone bank. And every time it's right next to the restrooms, and every time people see it, they go up and they're like, "Oh, the fuck, telephone booth," and they take pictures. I know this because I've done it and I've seen other people do it. It's really funny. And there's also a couple of telephone booths still in Los Angeles. There's one on Sunset, I want to say. Don't quote me on this, but anyway, there's a couple they've left like on purpose, basically for tourists, and people will go, they'll call their friend, at home, and I'm calling you from a telephone booth in Los Angeles. Anyway, it's funny, it's something that used to be on every fucking corner because nobody had, like when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't, like if you had to call your friend or your parents or whoever, you had to go to a phone booth and call someone's home phone, right? Like if you wanted to talk to your friend, you had to actually call their home phone and their mom was on the phone or something. So you just beep, 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 and you got to wait until the mom's off the phone. And then basically then you get to call. And then the dad, you could hear from the other room, he's like, "Don't stay on the phone for too long." Like, yeah, people don't have that now. They just call their friend on their fucking cell phone, or they just talk on a WhatsApp group or some shit, Signal or some shit. But yeah, back in the day, you actually had to call. And if you were out with your friends and you didn't know where your other friends were, you didn't really actually have a way to contact them. You had to maybe contact their house and maybe maybe their roommates if they were old enough in college, for example, that you could call their roommates. "Hey, do you know where Susan is? I'm standing here. I don't know. I was supposed to meet her." And the guy's like, "Oh, she went to the da-da-da." Then you could actually figure out where your friend is. Otherwise, it's just random fucking chance. Now you just text the person, "Oh, I'm standing in front of the da-da-da," whatever. Yeah, times have changed.
I used to do too is we had the I'd call my mom, call or collect, and she'd decline the call and know where to pick me up at all the time. So,
I remember that. That's funny.
That's great.
Right
she
on.
was like, "Yeah, no, I'll collect." I'm like, "All right, see you in 10 minutes, Mom."
Here's Jess and
That was
Dean.
great.
Small tubes hanging out. Hop on, folks. We still got another 20, 30 minutes. Excuse me. Polyfigs is saying, Polyfigs is asking, North Star, when is the raffle happening?
The raffle was called.
Mm.
I was called. I've called that and did the tickets up on X and on Instagram and emailed the winners.
Gotcha. Presumably Polyfigs is not the winner. Sorry, Polly.
I'm assuming, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Next time, Polly. I smell the luck in your future. Which sounds really weird. I smell the luck in your future.
I think they were mailed out on Friday of last week.
I found a really interesting story the other day that I didn't go through. I thought it would be a fun discussion for this show. Once again, I have way too many goddamn tabs open. Let's see if I can find this one. What's that, D?
Isn't that how it always is, though?
It sure is. Oh, by the way, I should make you a co-host in case anyone does hop on while I'm reading this. There we go. Man, the news is depressing every single fucking day. I wish we could have one decent day where it's not all fucked to shit. Hold on. Why can't I find the story yet? There we go. We're getting there, ladies and gerbils. Antioxidants in fruits. Let me actually open this properly so you can see the whole story. This was quite interesting. At least it was interesting to me. Here, it would probably be helpful if I actually shared it instead of just had it on my screen. There we go. From The Guardian, by the way, if you guys don't know The Guardian, great, I think it's still non-profit, but anyway, it's a great newspaper from the UK. So if you're in many cases worried about U.S. newspapers, stuff like that, Guardian is one of the sources that I would very much recommend. Anyway, why can't that fucking close? I don't want to see that. Please go away. It won't let me go away. Well, whatever. We're just going to have to live with that. So, antioxidants in fruits and flowers seem to counteract harmful effects of microplastics, study shows. Anthocyanins in nuts, fruits, and vegetables seem to lessen harmful effects of microplastics on reproductive systems. For those who are unaware, I'm sure everyone is aware at this point, but there's a tremendous issue at the moment with microplastics that are being found in more and more places around the world. They're essentially everywhere. They're at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. They're literally in your brain. They've found up to, I think, what is it, a tablespoon of microplastics in the average brain. Nobody knows the consequences of this yet. It seems like it's probably not going to be great, but I suppose maybe it'll give us all superpowers, but probably not. So anyway, quite a bit of concern among a lot of people. Antioxidants that give fruits and flowers their vibrant colors seem to counteract some of the most dangerous reproductive system effects of exposure to microplastics, such as decreased fertility, and could ultimately be used in developing treatments, new peer-reviewed research shows. The paper focuses on microplastics, reproductive toxicity, and plant compounds called anthocyanins. You incisive weed nerds will remember that's the purple shit in your weed, which are widely found in nuts, fruits, and vegetables, and also purple shit in weed. The new review of scientific literature on anthocyanins finds that the compounds are probably protective against a range of plastic-induced effects on hormones, reductions in testosterone and estrogen, decreased sperm counts, lower sperm quality, erectile dysfunction, and ovarian damage. Exactly. Probably more like, the search for natural compounds to counteract these harmful effects is ongoing, with anthocyanins emerging as a promising candidate, unquote, write the study's authors. Why am I reading so badly? Suddenly I forgot how to read English, who are with the Finland-China Food and Health Network. I never thought I would read that sentence. Anthocyanins have demonstrated potential protective effects against reproductive toxicity introduced by microplastics, quote unquote. Microplastics are tiny bits of plastic, either intentionally added to consumer goods or that are byproducts of larger plastics breaking down. They say, by the way, that most microplastics are actually that you're exposed to are from your laundry and stuff like that. The particles contain any number of 16,000 plastic compounds, of which thousands, such as BPA, phthalates, and PFAs, present serious health risks. The substances have been found throughout the human body and is a neurotoxicant that can cross the placental and brain barriers. It is linked to an increased risk of heart attack and cancer, in part because it appears to lodge in tissue or alter gut biome, which can increase inflammation throughout the body. Recent research links inflammation to congestive heart failure, and the antioxidants could, in theory, mitigate issues in other symptoms as well. Actually, there was a big story, I want to say 2 years ago, about how inflammation, again, a peer-reviewed study showed that inflammation was the cause of a wide variety of, or at least one of the proximate causes of a wide variety of human issues. In the male reproductive system, microplastics have been found throughout the testicles and semen. In women, they've been found in ovarian tissues, placentas, breast milk, and fetuses. And placentas are not actually supposed to have anything, right? Because that's the interaction between the mother's body and the baby. In the bebe. In males, many of the problems stem from microplastics' ability to cross the blood-testes barrier, which can cause inflammation in tissue. Some anthocyanins have been shown to improve sperm count, testes weight, and spermatogenesis, a critical step in sperm development, by protecting the integrity of the blood-testes barrier, which prevents microplastics from getting in tissue. I never thought I would read that whole sentence either. Researchers say that mice exposed to a substance that causes the same diseases as microplastics, then treated with anthocyanins, showed increased sperm quality, did they jerk off for the mice, including increased sperm quality, count, and motility, and that the antioxidants overall reduced testicular damage? Did they take the mice to a mice whorehouse or something to check? The new paper also points to research that suggests microplastics can reduce testosterone levels, and the cyanins may help restore testosterone production by protecting Leydig cells, which are responsible for the hormones production. Is that the end of it? Oh no. In women, impacts on how much? Oh, that's the end of it there. In women, impacts on fertility and sexual development could be mitigated by anthocyanins that seem to protect hormone receptors from plastic chemicals such as bisphenol, phthalates, and cadmium. By the way, cadmium, oftentimes found in shitty weed, the chemicals can mimic hormones or cause hormonal responses. Microplastics in ovarian tissue cause inflammation that seems to lower levels of estrogen and other hormones. Research found that treating rats with health issues that can be caused by exposure to microplastics protected the ovarian tissue and normalized levels of estrogen and other hormones. Quote, its antioxidant properties help preserve ovarian function and potentially maintain fertility, highlighting its therapeutic potential in managing ovarian damage, unquote, the authors write. Article was amended, da, 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 da. So anyway, my first thought was, what do we have fucking millions of? Goddamn pieces of fucking anthocyanins. When we wash hash, we always have, or a lot of times we have that purple water. How many times have I heard people say, oh, what do I do with that purple water? It seems useful. I've said the same thing. It seems very useful. It's extremely vitamin rich. I wonder if we couldn't just reduce that and make an anthocyanin stock or something to I mean, it's pretty bitter, so I don't know. You wouldn't necessarily want to drink it straight, but I don't know, drink it with a fucking tea or I mean, no, like, what are you guys' thoughts? You're muted, Joe.
Hey, some strains do taste a little better than others.
That's
You
true.
get something that tastes a little sweeter. You can almost use that and then add something to it and make a little make a tea out of it almost. Right. And be add some additives and maybe a little bit of sweetener just to help counteract a little bit of bite. Be good to go. But yeah, some things are definitely too harsh.
Cheers, Bud Kilowatt. Good to see you, buddy. Folks, we've got maybe another 20, 25 minutes or something before the show's over, so feel free to hop on here, smoke a last joint with us, smoke a couple of dabs, or even just come hang out with us. That's perfectly fine. Excuse me. We're here for a little bit of discussion. I don't know. Do you think there's anything to that kind of stuff, North Star, or are we just kind of spinning our wheels when we...
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's part of what makes different fruits and vegetables added health benefits. So, I mean, right. If it's... I could see you could possibly exactly reduce the hash water down at some point. I mean, maybe something that you add into a tincture of some sort to take.
That's the thing. I can't visualize, like, I'm smoking this joint right now, even if it was all full of just the purple leaves from sugar leaves from a super purple plant. I don't know that I would actually absorb any of those anthocyanins because I'm probably just burning them. You know what I mean? I'd be willing to bet. I haven't looked, but I'd be willing to bet that their boiling points and everything are far lower than the smoking points. So smoking it is not effective. Eating it, I would think, would be effective, but like you say, like most people don't really like to chow down on lots of cannabis leaves, which is sad actually, because cannabis leaves are quite nutritious actually, but also hard to find. You know, like if you can grow it yourself.
St. Patrick's Day's coming up for your cabbage and corned beef and stuff. Use some purple cabbage in there.
There you go. That's it.
Juice up the colors.
Why not? And actually, that's a good example because cabbage is something that is oftentimes considered quite bitter unless you cook it properly, and then it can become quite sweet and tasty. But at the same time, some people like the bitterness of raw cabbage. People like it in tacos, burritos, and stuff, I guess, in small amounts. So I guess in theory, if you really wanted to, you could just chop up some purple leaves, essentially, and put them on a taco or something. Just mix them with everything else. I'm curious. I wonder how much of a... wonder how much cannabis leaf you'd have to get a measurable dose of anthocyanins. Huh, I wonder where we would find that. Maybe just a cannabis lab would know how much is in them to figure that out. Oh man, Bud Kilowatt, got you, buddy. I hope things chill out, man. Oh, for real. Big step, Bud. Holy cannoli. Bud's bought out his partners and took over the warehouse. Now the pressure's all his. I feel it, dude. Holy cow. Uh, Good luck though, Bud. If
It's all
anybody
right.
can do it, I think you can. As far as
The
I can tell,
pressure's
you were
on, but
doing a lot of
also
the
is
work
the
already. What's that, North Star?
so the pressure might be on, but so is the full benefit of all the spoils too
That's
from
exactly
the
right.
hard
Yeah.
work. So
And how many times did well, I mean, they were friends. It's not like they were solid,
yeah,
but how many times did we hear from Bud that his partners were like, "Oh, I'm kind of done with this, da da da," and that probably just dragged him down. So now he gets to just focus on doing it because, as far as I could tell, he was the one that was doing most of the work. So uh, good for you, Bud. I hope that I hope it works out. And Bud, I don't know how much I can help you from all the way up here, but if we can help in any way, please let us know. Certainly, we can send you genetics to your heart content. I'm sure, and
for sure, that'd be
I'm
awesome.
sure plenty of people would send you clones and stuff anytime you want them. I'm sure he has plenty of clones though. But still, if there's something we can do, feel free to say. After my, I don't know, Norse, I don't know how much you know, it's not worth getting into the story, but about a year ago, I had a series of epic disasters. And among other things, I lost my garden, I lost most of my clones and everything else. So I was looking at basically when I came back from Israel, that whole fucking absolute shithole situation. I came back and I looked at my garden and I realized at one point, I actually said it out loud. I was like, this is not a garden, it's a graveyard. Because like everything was fucking dead. And Bud Kilowatt actually sent me a few clones, not even just a couple, but a few great clones that I have to this day. And it got me started back on my garden. I could look into my garden and actually see, like, all right, this is something. These are real plants. These are not just some random fucking plants off the street somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a big thing, Bud. Sometimes we don't remember to thank people, but that was a big deal because I was just about ready to just throw everything in the trash and just start over. Cheers, small tubes. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome anyone else in the chat that I haven't said hello to. Folks, hop on. I don't know how many times I have to beg you, hop on here and join the conversation. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep asking North Star and D questions. North Star, what's up with your outdoor garden this year? Have you started it yet?
Well, have nothing going out there yet. Got my one greenhouse that had a bad cover on it, recovered up this past weekend. It's all raining out there now. We have kind of chilly, shitty weather out, so not really missing out on much. But probably going to load the first greenhouse up with a seed run. I want to do. I have a Martian Mean Green times Super Silver Haze male from DNA that I got as back in the day that I want to give that a run. Make a bunch of stuff with that. See what I get out of it.
What's the Martian Mean Green?
Martian Mean Green is Shark's Breath times G13 Haze, I believe.
G13 Haze has to be wonderful. I wonder what that Shark's Breath is. Seed Finder.
That's some other DNA stuff, I believe. But yeah, that was
Shark's
I had
Breath.
grown that out.
DNA, yeah.
When I first moved to California from the same seeds.
Wow.
Had that for quite a few years. It was really good.
It was a long time ago. How did they get so? I remember everybody was talking about DNA years ago. How did they get so big? Because it was like 20 years ago, honestly, wasn't it? That they came out with what? Here, hold on.
LA Confidential.
Oh, everything.
Martian Mean Green, Connie Chung, all kinds of
Anunnaki,
stuff. Yeah.
Banana Sorbet, Blueberry Haze. Gosh, people still grow that Blueberry Haze. Cantaloupe Kush. Hollow Bread. What else in here? El Fuego. Exodus
Yeah,
Kush.
I grew some of their super cantaloupe recently, but a lot of it was that's a cantaloupe haze crossed to G13 haze, and a lot of it was all just G13 haze heavy. And other stuff that I like.
The list just goes and goes and goes. LA Confidential. Yeah. Lemon OG Kush. I've grown that. Lemon Walker. Martian Kush. Martian Mean Green. There it is. OG Skunk. Fuck, it's just like there's literally 300 on here on DNA on Seed Finder. It's crazy.
And then what else that I had from them that I wanted to get out there to mess around with is the Slee Stack times Skunk #1. I had that from them too. That I had kind of gathered up some stuff, trying to actually want to do a run of it and mix all their stuff that I had together, mix it up out there, and clearing out my room, trying to break it down. I'm going to move my room up the hill here to a smaller building I have and try to operate out of a little smaller space. But this one's hooked up to a backup generator to my main house, so it's all contained, easy. I don't have to worry about it being a separate location, and it's not hooked up to the generator and
I guess
stuff.
I never asked you. Are you off grid or are you on the city grid?
No, I'm on the city grid.
But does it
But
go out? Does it knock out from time to time?
yeah, we lose power quite a bit. I'm about a mile off the main road, and that's down by the river, and it runs. And so there's power outages in the area all the time, where whole areas lose power from all the trees and the hills.
Gotcha.
Pretty steep slopes in a lot of spots.
I grew up. We were up in the hills.
They purposely shut us off too when it's windy during fire season.
That makes perfect sense. Especially in California, that makes sense, I guess, kind of preemptively shutting off. God, that's ridiculous, because if their network was better, they wouldn't have to shut it off, because they wouldn't have like loose transformers starting fires. Anyway, I was just thinking about when I grew up, we were on the city grid, but we had our own water, basically. So frequently in a dry summer, we'd run out of water. So I was just thinking to myself, oh, fuck, if I grew cannabis out there, that could be a real issue. I'd have to get a water tank and basically fill it up, because we had a water tank, obviously, but it was only a couple 100 gallons or something, right? And so it could actually run out, especially if the people up the hill basically use too much water for irrigation or something. Anyway, I guess I'm just thinking out loud. But Bud Kilowatt says, if you didn't blow piles of money over the decades, I'd be retired now. 63 is still working ass off. Yeah, well, a lot of people are like that, Bud. It's fuck if well, I guess I never really got offered the Apple at $10 or whatever, but I knew people way back in the day that they were offered any number of different stocks. If they had just bought, $5,000 worth of something, they'd be rich, right? Well, hindsight is fantastic, right? It's always super clear. Yeah, right. You always know what you would have done if you could have done. Yeah, 100%. Straight up. No, I could have been a Bitcoin billionaire. Like, I knew people that were into mining it and stuff, and I always thought it was ridiculous. I still think it's ridiculous, but I could have made a bunch of money in Bitcoin, which I didn't. Anyway. Bud Kilowatt says, I have no idea how much money I made in the 35 years of growing, but I sure had a lot of fun doing everything I did. Aiko. That's the thing, Bud. I think you got to enjoy your life the way you did it. I don't think most people, you have, I don't think you know this perhaps, but you have one of the more interesting lives of all the people that come on these shows. It's always interesting to hear your stories. I don't know if you appreciate that, but Bud has had several different lives, and they've all been fascinating. Who else in here? Polly Figs is hanging with us. Oh, cheers, I Gruesome. I knew I was missing somebody. What's going on, buddy? He says, weed nerd for life. Cheers. Cheers, I Gruesome. Good guy. I Gruesome, I think, is in your neighborhood, more or less. I think more in the Bay Area, but more or less in your neighborhood, North Star. What's going on here? J5 saying, might be going to hell in a bucket, but at least I'm enjoying the ride. That's the way. I mean, what else can you do, right? Like, most of us can't be fucking born rich, most of us are never going to be rich. It's honestly one of the stupider parts of politics, I feel, that a lot of people don't realize that they're never going to be rich, you know what I mean? And could probably function differently, but still, most of us have to just get through life, right? I always think of that. It was a great line in a great movie, actually, from Tombstone, where at the very end, honestly, I hope this is not a spoiler for a 30-year-old movie, but Doc Holliday is dying in bed, basically, finally, of tuberculosis, and Wyatt Earp has been visiting him and playing cards or reading with him every day, and Wyatt Earp is kind of bemoaning what's happened to his life. He's like, oh, I wish I could have lived a normal life, because his brothers, one of his brothers died, his other brother kind of left and became a sheriff somewhere in California. Anyway, he had a lot of heartbreak, I guess. He's like, oh, I wish I could have had a normal life. And Doc Holliday just says, there's no normal life, Wyatt. There's just life. And Doc Holliday, mind you, one of the most interesting people who probably ever lived. He died at like 30, but in that time did 15 different things. He was a dentist, actually not a quote-unquote doctor, but they called him Doc. Anyway, gunfighter, card gambler, you name it. Thief, federal marshal when Wyatt Earp fucking swore him in. Yeah, and so Doc Holliday just says, there's just life, man. Bud Kilowatt says, I always said it's not who dies with the most toys and money, it's who dies with the most experiences who wins. That's a nice way to look at it. In fact, that's actually what they say about a lot of rich people or wealthier people. They don't actually buy stuff for each other anymore. They buy experiences. So you can use that as a lesson. When you have all the money that you could ever want, the stuff loses its appeal, and the experiences are the things that matters. Obviously, you can't buy the same experiences as some fucking billionaire, but you could learn the lesson that the experience is the thing that's the important part and not the silly possession. Uh, Easy to forget that, as we as growers, everybody, we start to get attached to our lights or whatever, like North Star. I know you're really into the gun grips and stuff, so you get really attached to the guns and everything else. But ultimately, it's still just a thing. It's just a possession. Southern Vermont Vintage has been making profit. I've been buying gold and silver to stash. One day hope to cash in. Right on. He's sitting on a hoard like a fucking dragon. He's sitting there like smog on this big old pile of silver. Or maybe he's swimming through it. North Star, do you think he's swimming through it like Scrooge McDuck? But
I saw he's like watching that one.
yeah.
Yeah, it
But
was great
Kilowatt.
watching time bin
Yeah.
full of gold coins.
Yeah. Was that funny? Oh my God. Seriously, in real life, you would just hit it and break your face, right? But Scrooge
Oh my
McDuck's just
goodness.
swimming right through. The magic of cartoons, right? Bud Kilowatt's right, though. He says most rich people I know are caught up just making more money. That's true. There is they say that essentially, I guess it depends because there's a lot of folks that get to be a pretty wealthy and do know how to kind of chill out. I've met people like that, but then you get these hyper wealthy people that there's not really a button in their brain to shut off the acquisition syndrome. Basically, it's just all about getting more, 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 and the skills that allowed them to get more are really the only things that propelled them, not the other. So how do I put this? I guess I'm saying this poorly. One of the reasons why so many of these rich people are kind of such freaks in a weird variety of ways is that I'm explaining this poorly. I'm just going to back out of this. There's no reason to talk about rich people anyway right now. Bud Kilowatt says another key to my life is you can't keep what you don't give away. That's not too shabby. Right on, Bud.
Well,
Agnes
if
Beckett
anyone
says,
has
yo, the scientist would not answer my PM question. Okay, hold on. Cheers, Agnes. I didn't see your PM question. Did you have a PM question? Where is Agnes had a PM question? No, I don't see it. Where you at, Agnes? Agnes says, you think I'd let it go. You got another thing coming. Oh, he's talking to somebody else. Never mind. I always misunderstand Agnes's comments somehow. I don't know. Some of you guys write in funny ways, and I completely misinterpret what you're fucking trying to say. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, about another 10, 15 minutes. Maybe I'll roll another quick joint here on the way out, and then we'll bounce. We'd love to hear from you, a few of you folks, to say hello. Bud Kilowatt, anybody? Here, I'm just going to post the link so you guys don't even waste time asking, because at this point, I feel like I'm begging.
And by the way,
no
if anyone has
calls.
any extra gold bars there just lying around, that rich people that want to just throw it to me, I'll take
Oh,
them.
I could take a few too. Yeah, D.
Sure.
Halvesies? Well, what do you figure?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you had the idea, so it's probably
He's
60-40,
on me,
but
PO box.
nice, nice. There we go.
Yeah,
I actually
Thumb
closed down
farm.
my PO box. I'm thinking about. I don't know. I probably should open it up again, but I closed it down. It was such a pain in the ass. Cheers. Oh, Agnes Beck is talking about the FCP science show. Dang it! I'm running low on fucking weed, and I hate it. I freaking hate it.
What are you gonna roll up there?
I don't know. I'm in bad shape, North Star. I'm running so low on good weed, and it's going to be
Can't hear him.
7 weeks. Oh, am I muted? Oh, no. It's going to be like 7 weeks before I can harvest. So, all
Oh
right. In this
shit.
case, it's going to be white runts because I see an actual nug of white runts. So we'll see. In a couple, 3, 4 weeks, you might see me going on a tolerance break because I hate buying weed. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh,
I absolutely hate buying weed.
okay. So Agnes Beckett did have a question. Hi,
I'll
Agnes.
go for it.
Well, I've got a surplus, so
Lucky you, fucker.
I could lose some your way,
Oh, right
possibly.
on. Yeah, right on. What's Agnes saying? The Q is, does chlorine kill pee? Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea. Agnes Beckett asks, does chlorine kill powdery mildew? chlorine kills a lot of shit though. So that would be my first question. Why are you using chlorine to kill PM? Do you specifically have to use chlorine? Because I feel like you're going to kill the shit out of your fucking garden.
He
Yeah,
Wanted to say hello.
he
maybe
probably
on hard surfaces and stuff, but I wouldn't want to use it on
Not only that, but you could
plants.
kill yourself with enough chlorine.
but
I mean, like, if you use enough for it to be toxic
uh,
as a spray, I think that would be toxic for you because the concentration in water is actually far lower than it would be necessary to kill something like you spray on, I think.
I'm
I don't know.
assuming
I'm not a
he's talking
chlorinologist,
Well,
about
but
like chlorine bleach, most disinfectant things that got 10% solution is usually good enough to soak scissors in or whatever it is you're using to sterilize. So I'm sure you could spray that and stuff, but I wouldn't want to spray that on my plants. That's for sure.
hmm,
But
I'm
that's what I'm
assuming
I have
thinking.
to clean up.
I'm assuming he's talking about using just like tap water, the chlorine in the water, like city water.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
not
think
high enough.
No.
People are not, people are a little over paranoid, I think, most of the time. I can't speak for every single city, but even, for example, Portland uses chloramine. A lot of the surrounding cities use chlorine, and you actually look it up, obviously. Neither one of them seem to be significant, honestly, in the context of cannabis growing. I used to filter them
Well,
religiously. I used to have all just everything filtered when I would spray, when I would water. These days, I just don't even worry about it. The concentration is simply not high enough to actually. The concentration in tap water is only supposed to keep the already treated water from growing a population. So it's not actually enough of a concentration to kill anything in the water. It's just enough to suppress anything that contaminates the water supply lightly.
I'll add something about what I've learned about PM without like, crazy chemicals or whatever. It's really about the pH of the leaf, right? It makes like that's what makes sulfur or some of the things because if the pH is high or low, is not in the perfect range, then the PM isn't going to be able to proliferate, right? So uh, that's really PM is everywhere. It's always there. It's just one thing about indoor growing, it gives it the prime condition to thrive. Like I used to sometimes have PM on indoor plants that I put outside. No, PM would the outside range of temperatures and the sun
your mom will
would,
like
would knock it out. But indoors, you're in this, we're in this like perfect environment for it to thrive. And yeah, I battle it every once in a while. You know, I have a few things I think are effective. Like when I take down a room, I have like a sulfur burner. It's like a little crock pot thing. You put and burn sulfur in the room when it's empty. And I used to cook the room, put all the lights on, and get it as hot as I could. Uh, do try to do everything you can, but yeah, PM like indoor grow environments are like just the perfect place for it to
Mm.
proliferate.
when
And
I
Like
go ahead.
sometimes I listen to this one podcast thing from a lady that's like PhD college that's been doing research on PM, and like she explained things I didn't know. Like they're almost microscopic, but there's these little black dots that will like get somewhere in your room and can stay there for years until the environment presents itself and it'll just get going again. Like it's really like she's basically been studying how to like fully get rid of it. And from what a lot of the things she did, and she tested all these products and all the things. And yeah, PM is just, it's actually called like I think it's a Latin name. Like
Sure.
it has caused famine and more death than almost anything in human life. Like at times, like it wiped out that's what caused the potato famine, right? That killed a bunch of people, lots of people. It's been part of human life for a long time. Like its real name is I can't pronounce it, but it's like a Latin name. It's not called powdery mildew. I mean, that's what we call it. But
There's thousands of different species of it too.
yeah,
And not all of them are related, interestingly enough. Some of them are just convergently evolved. So the one, let's see, cannabis powdery mildew. What is it? Is there a wiki for it? No, not yet.
When the way I combat PM for outdoors before when there's the plants are still small, I spray them down with a mixture of water, baking soda, and Dawn dish soap. I'll put them out, and they knock on wood, they're usually fine for the whole year. And then just before they flip the flower, I'll spray them down again to get that really good. Make sure there's nothing gonna happen.
Yeah. It's weird that Dawn dish soap, like when my dog had fleas, I did a bunch of research on it. And the thing I read said flea shampoos. Okay, what's better than flea shampoos is Dawn dish soap. And it, like I said, not any other dish soap, Dawn dish soap in particular. And I'm like, yeah, well, what does Dawn have that the other dish soaps don't? But it seems like Dawn dish soap is the shit.
I think it was known they used it famously for the Exxon Valdez spill, and they actually use it for a lot of
Yeah.
oil spills to this day. I think it's basically known it
Yeah.
was housewife tested or whatever, so it was gentle on your hands. Basically, you could put it in your eyes and stuff, because I
Take
guess
that, white.
housewives would complain that their kids were getting soap in their eyes or some shit. I don't know. So Dawn is quite gentle, but also still has the incredible surfactant power, which I guess is
Yeah.
actually, when you think about it, somewhat rare. Because when you think about it, even sometimes I'll get a shampoo, and if you're not careful, you get some in your eye and it stings like a motherfucker. Dawn doesn't sting like a motherfucker. So whatever they did something to prevent that. By the way, apparently the cannabis powdery mildew is a couple different or several different fungi, including Golovinomyces ambrosiae and Podosfera macularis. Anyway, there's a bunch of different. They're all apparently, or many of them, are part of the fungal family Erysaphiles. But anyway,
Well,
And
Well, powdery mildew is
I'm
bad here
sulfur. I'm a fan of
outdoors,
sulfur.
sure.
Like in the kind of sulfur that goes in the burner is different than that. I don't know, the kind that's just powder, right? And I never spray that in flour, but usually about a week before I go from veg to flour. Yeah, I sprayed. Most of those leaves are gone by the time, through defoliation and different things. But sometimes, like it looks like it has powdery mildew because, like when you spray with sulfur, it's like the leaves have this white film on it. But yeah, I found that most things that are available, like the different uh, products, especially the ones that are safe, yeah, sulfur is probably the most effective for powdery mildew. And the way I understand it works is it creates like a pH range that I don't know if it's high or low. Even there used to be a product that it was basically just not baking soda, the other one that
baking powder.
that they sold as like a hydro product. But when you read what it was baking powder and the same concept. Like when you sprayed your leaves with that, it makes it a um, yeah that
alkaline.
yeah
Anyway,
the alkaline and yeah if it's not this like perfect range, which is probably between 5.5 and 6.5 or whatever, or somewhere in that. Um, where on the leaf surface, a higher low pH to a degree, I don't think has a fact. I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, I
what
don't
I'm
know.
going to say is not fact. This is just my opinion, basically. But I think one of the reasons why people have always thought that powdery mildew is systemic, because famously people thought that powdery mildew is systemic, and once you have it, you'll never get rid of it in that plant, and da 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 da. Da. It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't scientifically seem to be that way at all. But people, I think, never completely get rid of it. And what happens is, like you said, Bud, even if it's one little spot of spores in your garden somewhere or whatever it is, it's just waiting for the perfect conditions to sporulate again. It's just a fungus. It doesn't have a fucking brain.
Yeah,
It's literally just looking for another chance to sporulate again.
in
Famously,
my
it needs like a
experience,
20-degree swing in the cold nights, especially, and boom, you'll be covered in powdery mildew. So I guess let me
uh,
finish my thought real quick. In my opinion, the only way to actually deal with it is to create an ecosystem that actually has essentially powdery mildew predators, basically things that will eat the powdery mildew. So, for example, other microbes in the environment that will counteract the powdery mildew when the spores come out. So, for example, by the way, this is easier than you think. Literally spraying a little bit of what is it called? I always forget the fucking name. Photosynthesis plus, the stinky shit, literally
Yeah.
spraying a little bit on your leaves. I think it's the subtilis and one other thing basically that actually attacks powdery mildew. That will actually solve your problems more than just spraying, at least in my opinion. Go ahead, guys.
Exactly.
In my opinion,
Where I'm
my
at, the
experience,
powdery mildew is really bad. And I mean, it grows on all the vines out in the woods everywhere. In the vineyards, it has it. So it's everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it except exactly work with it. You have to pick your grounds, pick your plants, and spray those plants. I use cease. It's a Bacillus subtilis. Several sprays of that. I also use that in coordination with sulfur. It is compatible, so you can raise the leaf pH and populate it with a bacteria that consumes the fungus.
yeah, in my
And
experience, in my indoor grows,
that's what it takes.
this one's
The
10 years
that shit in
old.
check.
The one I just moved out of, my other house, was 10 years old. My other one was 17 years old. Yeah, if I look back, the first few years, no. But you have a place 10 years. Yeah, it's what in like, yeah, I mean, to really, even that lady that was an expert, that's what she really said was like cleaning, foaming, like they have different things you can do, but like cleaning the space to that a certain level indoors would be really
Stinky as hell,
necessary.
that shit.
Well, I couldn't imagine. I've seen it. I've seen different grows that they have the foam shit and they foam the whole thing down, and I guess it evaporates out. And it seems, I don't know. I looked into it, but I never really took it serious. But
Agnes Beckett is just declaring he's decided to embrace the PM.
yeah, well, I tell you this much. I had this
Become
one
one
tree
with the PM,
that
Agnes.
I grew for like 20 years.
Om.
And a couple times when I had total PM outbreaks, they were on all these other plants, even right next to this one plant, and that one plant wouldn't get it at all. Period. End of story. No matter how bad, how it was everywhere. Because I don't have that strain anymore. But yeah, I grew that in the 90s and in the 2000s, and yeah, it was like it definitely had like its own defense because there was this one time everything around it had it and it didn't have it, period. So it is kind of some strains, and some of that could be strange. We probably don't do the science on that, but like you say, pH seems to have something to do with it, where I assume some leaves or some strains have a different pH than other ones, and that's why some plants might be more susceptible and less susceptible. But
You must find
Cheers,
the
everybody.
tree with the PM spore, you see.
Cheers, everybody.
Om.
420.
Cheers, folks. Happy 420. Oh, it's back. It's
in a
420, 420.
regimen,
There you go.
when you get a handle on it, that doesn't mean you back off. You still gotta like that's what I've learned a few times. Oh, I got rid of it. It's good. I'll go a couple cycles, and then there's some section, and even my thing, I've weird like one section and over here, and in the other room. That if it's ever going to be in there, it's going to start there, which that could be airflow, many things. I don't know, but like I've learned that you just got to stay on whatever you're doing. I mean, one thing is when you're
You
fighting
fuckers,
it,
now everyone is hopping on here. Now it's time to leave. Everyone's coming on, you motherfuckers.
I just woke up.
You guys should have come on an hour ago. Are we supposed to start the show an hour later or
I
something?
wish you
or
guys could smell this.
You
Dude.
guys need a fucking alarm clock or some shit? What do you got there,
Ding, ding,
J5?
Everyone's still on
It may
standard
not,
time.
it's all oxidized, but it's freaking the most delicious smelling fucking pineapple Cindy, fresh frozen bubble hash.
Oh, yeah.
It's delicious, dude.
So a cross of pineapple and Cindy, or it was
Nope,
a pineapple
it's
version of Cindy?
the pineapple C99. It's the pineapple phenotype.
Oh, gotcha.
And Yeah, it's fucking delicious, dude. And
Nice.
I mix it with this bubble, fucking leaning plant, and it's like the perfect combination. I'm addicted to it. It's like all I want to smoke now.
Well, I don't blame you. Super uplifting, happy weed.
Well,
Yeah,
pretty
don't
fine.
blame you. What's
It's
going
two
on,
opposite
hardcore?
ends of the spectrum, as far as the hash and the fucking and the flower go, uppity
Oh, what was
hash
the
and
flower? I'm sorry, I guess I misunderstood what the flower
bubba.
was. Oh, so it is literally opposite ends. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
interesting.
a herbal speedball.
That's funny, yeah. Huh. What's
You
going
know,
on,
it's
hardcore?
only a few days away. I'm getting really excited because I see the momentum building.
Hold on.
But like 2 miles from me, in a town that voted for rec cannabis, and the citizens had to sue the city 2 years later to enact it a few years ago. At their biggest park, where they just built a brand new amphitheater, is like this cannabis event called Farmers Cup that is a
Super.
San Diego thing that is at this amphitheater. I don't even think has had a music there yet. Brand
That's
new.
great.
Like it went from the citizens having to sue the city for like they
Wow.
basically the city of taking in all this permitting and all this and never approving any of it for multiple years. And then somehow the citizens or somebody sued them to actually enact it. Now there's stores all over, but now they're having an event, which might be, yeah, might end up being pretty good.
People forget, even in freaking yeah, full-on Democratic California hasn't had a national Republican representative for I don't know 40 years now. California has legal weed and you can walk around with it all, but there's still a bunch of fucking rules. And there's a bunch of places where you actually are not really supposed to grow. There's a couple counties where you can't grow at all. Where Flora used to live, you're supposed to grow super under the radar. You're allowed to grow, but basically under the radar. Like, what the absolute
well,
fuck?
I'll tell you, there's a couple of things this event's doing that's like why I think it's really cool. Okay, it costs money to go into these things. Well, they have a thing called Farmers Market where it's advertised that you can go purchase cannabis if you're not going to the event at the farmers market, like outside of the event. And then, like, I don't know who all the music is, but I know the headliner is Burner. So, okay, what? And I know these guys have had these smaller events until this one, fully legal. And yeah, all the big national brands are the title sponsors. It's
Huh.
like obviously might have
It's a big money.
potential.
Huh.
Like LA doesn't really. I mean, I don't know. They don't like in the Real Cup that I've went to recently or event was Emerald Cup, and yeah, that I didn't. The vibes are kind of odd there, and I don't. Well, part of it is like you got to pay like $100 and then go buy weed when there's weed shops all around. Like so, like obviously.
Plus, it's hard to get so excited about corporate cannabis competing with itself. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean,
who's gonna win, Nike or Adidas? I give a fuck, like seriously,
I could have
North Star, are you heavily invested in that? Yeah, seriously, I hope Burner wins tonight.
They have a cup, and I
His
can
wife doesn't
enter
say that.
unlicensed, and I could have got a 10 by 10 booth unlicensed, but you can't sell weed. You can only promote weed. So yeah, they like I see that they're trying to make it somewhere in between because I went to one of their events a couple of years ago where it wasn't legal cannabis. It was just an event. Well, this is their first one that, to do it at this level, you pretty much have to, which I'm sure it'll be like the same thing at Emerald Cup, where the booths that are trying to sell product, they can't actually sell it. There'll be a booth at the end that you go to do the purchase thing. Like it's part of it is like the legal structure. They don't have any trust at all. Like other industries, like cigarettes pays billings and taxes or whatever through stamps on cellophane and alcohol with the thing on the top, and they don't get scrutinized like cannabis. Like seems like most of the rules are because they don't trust cannabis people to pay report their sales or whatever, which if you're one of those businesses, you're going to report your sales. Like that's part of your business. I think, I don't know.
Even if they do backdoor half their product to Oklahoma or whatever.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from here, we have what we call black market dispensaries.
Shit.
Yeah.
Then I'm mute again.
It's where you go to buy pounds, and they got lots of pounds there. In the last few years, yeah, like a portion of it in there is coming straight out of legal. Yeah,
What they want, buddy, is their pockets padded for handing out the freaking licenses, and they want to get the money for the licenses.
Here's my question: Metric, which is a private company that does supposedly foolproof inventory system. That's what you pay them for. No, that
Can you see the turtle head?
Like, yeah. So, like, if Metric isn't as foolproof like it says, then why isn't there competition with another software system?
Yeah, it's really bizarre to me that there's only that one company that can do that.
Well,
they're the only company in the world that can do that shit.
There's something shady going on there.
Initial investors, early, a lot of people in politics, they saw it, they knew, and that's what I think.
So and like regulatory capture now.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, no competition, and I can tell you all the ways. I know how they backdoor it, both indoor and outdoor.
You've mentioned, we hear about all the time. You hear about allegedly, because I don't want to get sued, Jungle Boys and all these companies, right?
And power they really need in this bureau to like really oversee things. Like that's part of the problem. Yeah, they're very short staffed, and they don't even get back. Oh, they come around once. They see you have these tags. That's about it. Like they don't have manpower. Like it would take like a huge amount of people. Like the Bureau of Alcohol, now they spot check bars and do stuff. They probably have a pretty good amount of people to manage that. Like I know bars get spot checked all the time.
Oh, still to this day, they do the stings where they have the kids that are 19 that go in there. They're supposed to get carded and whatever. They have plenty of money for that, plenty of enforcement. There's always the 18, 19-year-old kid is always accompanied with an adult as well. So they have basically two people on the payroll at any time. Yeah, they have plenty of people. Go ahead.
And they got the cigarette kids as well that do the same thing. Going to grocery store, shit like that.
Those do kill people.
And when I buy cigarettes, they have to show, like at certain places like 7-Eleven, the big ones, and the ladies like it's just that's their job. So if somebody buys cigarettes, you have to look at the ID, no matter how old they are or they're into that. Which, all right, no problem. I'll show you my ID. I mean, at first I thought, oh, what a compliment, but then I realized, no, they're looking at a 60-year-old guy.
How do you do, fellow kids?
My wife used to get carded a lot because, she looked like she could be that young, but no, not me.
My sister looked really young and got carded like into her 50s.
Well, whatever.
And she'd always be proud when people thought she was my like chick and shit.
Well, there you go. Well, folks, we'll give it a few more minutes because we have so many.
So I saw the title and I'm lucky that I'm like, I've been so into like this change here. Last Wednesday to today, it's Wednesday. Yeah, I haven't paid attention to any of that. Oh, I know it has
you're
to be
better off,
up.
probably, but
right. Well, I know it's fucked up.
Hey, I came on for a cannabis-related reason. I forgot about.
Go for it.
Agnes Beckett wanted to hear my thoughts on septoria and resin production. And rather than
I've heard that before.
Rather than try to type it out with my fat thumbs,
fucking ridiculous. But go for it, please.
Rather than try to type it out with my fat thumbs, I'd just come on here and say, you might not be off.
Oh, so septoria does bump resin production?
It is definitely a stressor. I definitely have had it on plants, and I can't say I didn't notice that they were greasy or I don't know. He might.
Well,
who's to say? You know what I'm saying?
Like maybe you really have to test side by side, and unfortunately, you'd end up basically infecting that soil. So then you have to kind of. I guess you don't have to throw it away because I think septoria is overblown. Because again, if you have kind of a rockin' ecosystem, I think the septoria will be diminished, even if it is in the soil. But still, I'm not really gonna intentionally affect my fucking soil with septoria.
Well, I did toss a whole crop of lemon skunk one the first time I saw septoria. I didn't know what. Like one day they looked fine, and the next day it's like they freaking melted. You know what I mean? It's just every damn leaf on it, and I upon reflection, I should have looked closer.
Because that's the thing.
And, like,
some plants, I've seen it like
it like stops at the leaf on some of them.
and I guess what I mean to say is like some plants it doesn't seem to affect them very much, and some
Mm-mm.
plants it just fucking kills their shit.
Yeah. It's a strange one. But then I wonder if that shit's floating around.
Hijacked and it's way too expensive to really use. Why I even
Oh,
tried it?
Axiom, Harpin proteins.
Yeah, it's like okay, it somehow simulates like a bug attack, right?
Yeah.
On your plant, whether it's there or not. And the one guy that really talked about this is how he really grows like the terpeous weed. I forget the percentages. And yeah,
there you go, Agnes. Axiom, Septoria edition.
Yeah, but see, when you research it, even this guy said before Axiom came along, you could buy the stuff in bulk for a reasonable price. These guys have a lock on.
I think you can still buy it if you're brave enough. You can still buy it from like Alibaba Chinese, basically, because it's like an agricultural
this guy
thing.
Alibaba and little package, like a little amount in that makes 1 gallon of the spray.
Yeah.
This guy that was explaining said, "Oh, he used to feed it to the dirt, soil, spray. Like he really used a lot of it, and yeah, he got results. Or at least that's why I started trying it. But then I'm realizing, yeah, they want $20 and things like barely any in here. And
I've heard that the bud ends up being really firm and stays firm for a long time. Is that true?
Yeah, I haven't. I found this last one in my pile of junk. I stopped using that. I tried it a little bit, and I didn't see any grand results. And in today's thing, yeah, you don't spend any money on products. You try to minimize your costs, and so yeah, I'd still be using guano like Budswell by the gallon, but that shit's like $35 a gallon, and no one pays for it. Because I used to last 2 weeks, I put 1 gallon in the last few reservoir changes of what I call booty juice. It's called Budswell guano liquid, not just any guano, the one from them. And yeah, that shit used to made buds crusty for sure. I used it for decades, but yeah, $35 a gallon. Not in today's market. Like, oh, if you want to, if we're like back when it didn't matter what I spent on production, when the pricing was different. Yeah, I used a bunch of different stuff that I thought was effective.
But do you think your weed is substantially different now than it was back then?
Well, I kind of missed the Budswell, I think, but they don't even grow generation doesn't even stock that shit.
Is your bud less? I mean, I'm genuinely curious. Is your bud less greasy, less?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Here's another thing. Budswell used to be so damn stinky, even as the jug was brand new. It was so foul, right? That's what we call booty juice. When they went to Hawthorne and had distribution, they reformulated, and I think they took out some of the sulfur or something that made it really stinky, right? So I don't think it's the same as it was in the 90s and early 2000s when we were really in love with that
Bud,
product.
I have a recipe I'll share with you for a no bubble tea that I get similar results as I did with Budswell back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I know,
and it's not that stinky because it's not
guano
bubble.
gets like a bad rap for environmental or using kids. I don't know all about that, but I do believe that guano
brings the funk, dude. I believe it too.
You know,
can you imagine what a fucking
it.
first world thing? It's like mined by child labor and fucking kills all the butterflies.
you got to be really selective in your
yeah. I have like a weird thing with the environmental thing because I'm really super that way, except when it comes to my indoor weed production. Somehow I give myself a pass.
Ground up children.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be bad.
Carbon, what do they call it? Carbon. Like the
carbon neutral, whatever
thing. Yeah, indoor cannabis grows like up there with like the worst things there are. Like the energy, all this stuff.
Nothing grows indoors like this. Yeah,
they got
just carbon, that alone.
I don't know. Like Germany has a big thing, carbon tax or some shit.
Yeah, the future is going to be mixed light greenhouse. Like, there's no way ifs, ands about it. You know, like they're not going to have these 1,000 lighters and shit. We're gonna move all that shit outside and have like 10 lights over.
Yeah,
100
Depends. The vertical gardens, the indoor vertical gardens actually do quite well with, for example, LED, and they can use heat pump recirculating air conditioning systems basically instead of using conventional air conditioning, which actually saves tremendous amounts of power. So you can and if you especially insulate the building really well, like we've never really had an incentive to build these kind of purpose-built indoor
True.
greenhouse buildings or indoor. I mean, ultimately, a greenhouse roof would be really effective. So if you can put in the greenhouse roof, that can be super effective. But that only helps with that top layer of that vertical greenhouse. And so then below that, you still need lighting all the way down. If the building is well insulated and doesn't lose a lot of heat and recircs everything, it can be really a pretty effective system. They've apparently built a few of them around the world. Not for
I'll
weed,
put it this
but
way.
for food
I've
production.
grown for 35 years indoors. Most of the time it was in residential. I had a couple bedrooms with like 4 or 6 lights. Okay. Did quite well with that. I've gone up a little. I remember when I first saw 180 light rooms. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking gnarly. Now it jumped up to 1,000
Tens of
light
thousands
rooms.
even probably, yeah.
My nephew runs a place in LA. Yeah, they have like 1,000 light rooms.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine that.
Shit.
Like I can't imagine. Like I know. No, I couldn't.
Yeah,
grow
100 lights,
weed.
impressive.
Yeah, I
dude.
like
1,000.
to grow weed that way.
That would just feel weird being in there, dude. There's so much electricity
It's
and
a
so much
large
power in
space.
there.
Yeah. That's a
Oh, I
huge
don't like
space, isn't
that
it?
shit, dude. That
It's
one bit.
probably big. Fuck, it's probably bigger than a Walmart with 1,000 lights.
It's
Seriously,
crazy.
how big is that? It must be multiple spaces.
So
though,
much
'cause it
energy
would have
just
to
being
be like a
focused into that
Boeing
one
fucking.
area. You got to just
Oh,
vibrate when you walk into that fucker.
Yeah, right.
You
My
know,
fucking
somehow,
God, you're gonna get skin issues. People don't even realize we're gonna get skin issues from that shit in the future. There's got to be. I don't know. It probably doesn't have as much UV as they thought, but it's definitely gonna
I'll
fuck
tell
up
you what,
people's eyes.
part of even me taking this over. Okay, one part of Sam. Yeah.
Oh, you know what I just realized?
He's the youngest of us all, but like a couple of years ago, he started breaking out in hives. Not like the thing with the
Oh, he
smoking.
was allergic to the weed itself. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
like
mentioned.
literally,
Yeah.
he has like
That'd be
those
rough.
things. He
I had a
puts
trimmer
on,
that was like that, wore
He puts
mask
on
and
a
everything.
mask, and even like 10 minutes here, or 10 minutes in the drive room, whatever, boom. Like, and it's gotten worse and worse and
It's
worse.
bad too, dude. It's
And
bad.
he smokes weed, no problem. But
You know,
and his wife was
certain
like,
strains are worst on
put
them than
pressure
others
on,
too. Certain
you know,
cultivars, certain terpenes or something.
yeah, and he wasn't that way at the
But what I
beginning.
was
Makes
saying
sense.
about that 1,000 lighter, my brain still defaults to HPS, still defaults to HID lights. Like I don't think
Those 1,000
LED
lighters are
right off
probably
the
still
bat.
HPS. Honestly, it's so expensive to put it LED. That would be many millions of dollars. So they would just be HPS probably.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That's
just look at
horribly
Little by
inefficient.
little, they'll. I mean, the
Horribly
weed grows
inefficient.
will, but probably,
I've been in
yeah.
Jungle Boys who he
I
was
mean,
lots
DEs
of
are actually not that bad. DEs are what, 1.8, 2.0 U moles. So they're not too bad, right? Like there are better lights
Yeah,
now that
I
are
guess you're
3.6
right.
and shit, the LEDs. But
Bulb
again, you got to pay
technology
for
has
the
came further
3.6. You
too.
got
You
to
don't
pay
have to
like
change them out as
$1,000
much.
per fixture. Pardon?
I was gonna say, I would hope that bulb technology has came along where you wouldn't have to change them out so
It
much.
hasn't changed all that much. Well, the double-endeds are better than the single-endeds by
Yeah,
far. So the double-endeds, they last more like what, 6 months,
because
maybe a little bit
there's
longer.
nothing like a brand new HID on that first run off a new bulb, a new 1,000-watt HPS. Whew.
I'll tell you, I don't
The
have any more
single-endeds, I
magnetic.
used to know. In
Back in
fact,
the
Bud
day,
was one of the
yeah.
people that used to run it one time and then throw it away.
Yep,
Right, Bud? I think
100%.
you used to say that.
Yeah, when the price was different. But I'll tell you
The
my
fucking
experience.
dude, it's
I
noticeable.
ran
Just
magnetic
so.
balances for a long time, and then switched to digital. Yeah, even when you change bulbs, you
Hey,
can
Bud,
see
how many digital ballasts did you
greatness
throw
on the
away?
glass.
I still have my
Yes.
first magnetic ballast. I still have the very first grow light I ever bought,
But
magnetic ballast, and it
what
still
I
runs.
learned was
I've gone through
is that
hundreds
the
of, not
digital
hundreds,
ones,
funny.
but a
and
lot
even
of.
how they can claim like a little bit higher, whatever, is they push it. They're like really pushing it more than the magnetic did, right? And yeah, that like it's hard for me to believe that a bulb lasts longer in any digital ballast because it's pushing it. And yeah, but
I think the relative,
wait, do you really think these
overall
LEDs aren't going to
cost for a
fade
home
after
grower
a
to
few
set
years?
something up is the way for most people to go. It's so simple and easy to set up like a 4x4 little area with with LEDs now. It doesn't take any kind of huge energy. You don't need huge air exchange, air conditioning to worry about. If you have an extra room in the house somewhere, you can almost
tent growing and home growing
with no notice to your electric bill for the most part. And,
I mean, Bud, you've nailed it. I hate to say it, but I think no offense, but your thing is on the way out. Again, no offense. I wish you many years of success. But the home grow, I think, has just started. Yeah, I think that home grow is safe. I think probably it's going to be a lot like home brewing. And as people just get sick of dispensary weed and stuff, it's going to grow
for 20, 30 years. And people used to try to use the other lighting. It was impossible, dude. The amount of fucking heat in that small area. Like, people would go 600s or even less, because you can't put 1,000-watt fucking light.
600s were where it's at.
And LEDs, I see it. Like, fuck, if you're setting up tents, that's the way to go. Like, for sure. But I mean, here's where I started
LEDs now.
I'm sort of on the right path, right? Because I'm sticking to it. Like, I have a LED, and it does its thing, but I like what the HPS does. Ivan Jungle Boys has built $10 million places over and over in Florida. Yeah, look at his rooms and what's lit with.
I'll tell you, the big difference I noticed was definitely having my old ballasts were all magnetic ballasts. Oh my goodness, walking in that room, the EMFs coming off of everything, of all the ballasts humming and shit, would give me within like 45 minutes. I'd be like, oh my god,
yeah.
Hey, guys, I can get some fresh air.
But here's my one thing with LEDs. Like, how long is that fixture supposed to really last before it fades?
Oh, a long fucking time, super long time. If they're made really well.
Bulb. But
I'm not kidding with you. I have a couple of fixtures I've had for like 6 years, and they're still wonderful. They're fine, and I use them all the time. No, they last for fucking years.
They have those cheap little light desk lamps that are never changed lamps. You never change the bulb.
Yeah.
Over time, the price difference is there's no comparison, because not only are you saving money, you don't replace the bulbs every single
year. Other kind of lighting, the heat issue is great. They just give off minimal.
They still give off heat, but they usually give it up.
How we
HED
know
bulbs go down.
Fading is what they call CRI, coloring rendering index, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the spectrum is what drops off.
You can get high CRI LEDs, but we're really going to have to get you some headphones. You can get high CRI LEDs now too.
Wait, let me just go on the speaker.
We're going to have to get out of here soon anyway. But what was I going to say? LEDs have come a long way. And even then, though, to be honest, right now, most of my LEDs, I guess I have 2 newer LEDs, but I'm just using them in my veg right now. I'm not even using them in flower. My flower light, or a couple of my flower lights right now, the one that's currently in flower is one of my old PLC lights. By every current objective, or by every current measure, I guess, it's obsolete. It's not one of the most efficient LEDs anymore. It's probably somewhere around 2.4 U-moles, something like that. Instead of nowadays, you can get 3.6, 3.8, whatever. It's cobs. So the one that's currently flowering, in fact, it just turned on a couple hours ago. It's got 6 cobs instead of, all the different panels and stuff. Now, the lights, the air just flows right through them. They're all super waterproof, so you can spray all over them. Mine, I can't spray on the top of the light. Nice. But guess what? It consistently gives me exceptional flower. It's dependable. It's always given me about the same yield. They're supposed to drop off in brightness over time. Mine have barely dropped off. Literally barely dropped off. And I think maybe one reason why is that I use the dimmer frequently. So throughout the grow, either during veg or when I'm ramping up into flower or towards the end of flower, I'll turn down the lights usually. I think that's saved me in performance, maybe. I haven't actually gotten a tester to test under the lights, but just from a yield perspective, it's consistently been consistent, I guess you could say. And I don't have to replace the bulbs. I don't have to wonder if I replace the bulbs. I don't have to remember, did I replace those bulbs? I don't have to go to the store in the middle of the night. I mean, how many things have I heard from people, like their bulb just went out and the fucking lights, the lights aren't on? That doesn't happen to these lights.
even in this 1 week. Okay, part of the thing with this operation here is no new investment they've done so far, right? I mean, I just basically inherited this, right? With everything, right?
No,
The
she.
shareholder, right? Oh, I've already I could tell you that the one room would be LED.
Okay.
I'm here because
Here's the
I'm
picture.
enslaved to the highest power kilowatt in the nation in the area for whatever. And it's really not the light. I mean, okay, 1,700 whatever watts. Okay,
By the way,
it's
hardcore, you're gonna give someone a fucking
and the
stroke. Maybe a little bit
AC
less of the strobe.
are like what I can't. Yeah, I'm a slave to the power
Where's
station.
I haven't seen it.
Running like
Get
I
the
have four
paper.
3,600 split minis and multiple quests that are constantly having to, work to keep the room where it needs to be because of the heat of the lights. And yeah, okay, regardless of what I personally think, to stay in, oh, I'm definitely gonna have to like go against what I really want to do to stay like I know I could drop my power bill massively if I went with LEDs. And it's not because of the watts that you're going to save on the lights, right? It's the heating and cool and the humidity and cooling. That yeah, split minis are they yeah. Each
It's an
room has
important part of
fans
the
in it,
process, probably the most in an operation like yours with the HIDs.
Yeah,
right?
especially in just a high energy cost environment. It's
Mhm.
such a
Well,
different
I
circumstance for
here's
most
another
people. A lot of
thing.
people around the country have fairly low energy
We had
costs,
one
right?
of our 3-ton split minis die after 8 years. They're all at least 8 years old. Now the new one I got that was like way less than half of what they used to cost years ago, right? And longer warranty is 22 SEER. SEER's the rating of efficiency. The ones that you could buy so many years ago were like 11 and 12 SEER. And I haven't like, oh, I see. Changing that one, I can see on the graph that we're saving energy. Okay, so I either spend money replacing the other split minis, which eventually will need to be replaced, or I take that same money and get LEDs and cut that huge part of the thing out. And there's no like even though I don't that's the direction I'm going. All right, I don't know where it'll land, but
You just have to pencil it out and figure out which one costs more, which one saves more energy.
well, I guess I'm like
Split mini is easier
I
to
kind of
calculate.
agree
Go
with
ahead.
you in this, like over the years. But I'm just like internal optimist when it comes to this, where I'm like, yeah, well, even though all that says, yeah, you're on a sinking ship, I'll sink with the ship. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've
I mean,
decided.
you know what? There's something to being the last man standing. You might be the last man standing that
Well,
does really, really
I've
well.
always
Some of those
said to
people do
him,
extremely well.
I just don't know if I'll be, I'm turning 63 in a month. I don't know if I'll be able to keep doing it as long as it will take, but it'll eventually come around.
I'll come run the warehouse for you, bud.
You know,
That's it. You got to have
I'm
interns.
still trying to keep to craft, what I consider craft. Even though there's really no value in the marketplace, I'm being compared to this, oh, we pay this for this craft, right? Whatever that deal is. But I think that will turn around. Like
I'm Jay Zombie.
produce shit is what it is, and 1,000 light rooms. I'd take a 10 light room over that any day.
Hmm. There's a lot of people who say you really can't do 1,000 light craft room, that you really can only do craft if you're talking about maybe 20, 30 lights tops. I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll see over time.
and it's been hard, but I still hand trim. A lot of the stuff I see, yeah, they've gotten a lot better with these machine trims. But like most, yeah, when you see the numbers, like even outdoor weed this year is like a couple $100 a pound. Well, how do you pay trimmers at that
Hmm.
price? You know what I mean? You don't. That's why it's all going to fresh frozen and whatever, and that crashed that market. You know,
Hmm.
like you hear me saying this all the time.
Crash. I'm the last
Almost
splash.
everything in our economy is dealt with supply and demand. Some have perishable, but supply and demand, right? Except cannabis is like completely has no supply and demand metric in it at all. They license as many square feet and many licenses you want to pay for, even though they're producing way more than the market will consume in a year. Okay, well, one thing you know about supply and demand, overproduction, everybody loses. Like this is like supply and
I
demand
mean, at the same
economics
time,
is
if they
like
undergranted
1,000 years
licenses,
old.
you'd have a problem like they have in Florida, where it's three, four good old boys that run the whole market, isn't it? It's like five companies that run the whole fucking market. So I don't know. I don't know what the balance is there.
I mean, until we institute some kind of supply and demand in the market and the thing, it's going to be a what do you call it? A boom bust thing, like that. They like, oh, why is this happen? Most of it is because of supply and demand. Like you can't throw, and like Canada put out numbers, California put out numbers. They destroyed 2/3 of what they sell through. They sell through 1/3. That's not a sustainable way to do it.
Hmm.
Like,
No?
simple. It's really simple. That would mean that the people you pay licensing to would have a control of the market to a degree that at any time they would have a system to be able to say, yeah, I know you're licensed for this, but we're going to cut you back to this, right? Like sort of like even the crab guys, right? Oh, they can't fish king, or there won't be king, or there's the things that in most crops it's that way too. Like if there's overproduction of a fruit or vegetable, it's going to tank the price, and different systems manage that because everybody in it knows overproduction, everybody loses. And cannabis that's it. It's being overproduced.
Unfortunately, vegetables are not subsidized like corn is, stuff like that, wheat, things like that,
Corn.
starches, things that can be turned into fuel for the most part are subsidized, and also dairy, stuff like that. But most vegetable crops are not, so it's unlikely that cannabis will ever really be subsidized. So it'll probably be on this boom bust cycle, basically indefinitely.
And like I believe in the perishability, like
Tobacco is probably
so
subsidized
like
though, wouldn't you
if
think?
California extended it to 2 year shelf life, I mean, give
It
me a break.
definitely used to be.
That shit was already dry and old at whatever month as it is, right? So yeah, that's I know Newsom signed that because of the data that showed how much was being destroyed, right, or turned in. Which I find it weird that I've yet to see anything to show me where this is being destroyed. We're talking about massive amounts. They have a facility. Uh, is it even being destroyed? Like all these people turn in all this stuff that's whatever.
Yes, it is
Where does
still
it actually
subsidized.
go?
I think a lot of it comes down to is it's treated like an agricultural product, and the price of it is just doesn't justify the cost and means to cultivate at industrial as an agricultural product. Now, if you treat it
Mhm.
as more of a medicinal or some kind of regulated leisure product that's some kind of a drug product or something that's actually and then you come into other kind of regulations with testings and other things that elevate the price too along with it.
If we're just farmers, like agricultural farmers, you go look at a strawberry farmer or anybody, and you look at their price. Oh wow, we're
Well, the
so
only reason it's just being able to be done to everybody is because right now the federal government doesn't have it legal. So you can't go and complain to the federal government and say, "Hey, look, the states are railing me right now over all this ridiculous stuff. They don't treat me like any other kind of product that's agricultural."
yeah. Well,
That would
I
help a
feel
lot right there.
for the feds
There's
to
nothing you can
finally
do
do
about
it,
it. You gotta kind of take your lickings and keep on
they're only
going.
going to do it because they're going to tack on 30-some% taxes too, right? Just like on the gas, just like on everything. They're not coming in for free, and the state isn't going to go down. So, like, how high is the taxes going to get?
Love for the Plant mentions, contrasted to Canada, America keeps cannabis borders around states and then another layer around the country. His previous comment was Canada distributes internationally, so that alleviates any of their supply surplus. Anything extra they have, they just sell to Poland and fucking Switzerland, all these different places.
Wait a minute.
Australia, I
County
think.
to county has different
Since
taxes.
there's two
Okay.
layers of supply fences is brutal.
Hey.
Like, how is in California? They already have a brand that's worldwide known, California, right? And why aren't we have access to the international markets? Like that's to me a no-brainer, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if Canada's not funneling money into the states to keep it federally against the law.
I
No.
They don't want to lose those accounts over to freaking Australia and all those other
I
places.
mean, you're not
that they
wrong.
ship their
Who would
pot to.
buy, no offense to our Canadian friends, who in the fuck would buy Canadian weed over California weed?
Right? Sorry.
The brand, and I say this as an Oregonian, like the fucking brand
This is
recognition in
why I'm saying
California
it
is
has
just
to
something
change.
else.
It's treated like an agricultural product. Like we're buying apples, but they're class whatever one drugs on the scale. You can't buy them as agricultural products. So it conflicts, too much confliction going on within the federal and state, to where it's everything's all confused and fucked up, and it elevates the price for everything, makes it harder for people to jump through all these regulations, the hoops to if you're gonna treat it like apples or whatever, you need to
I'm not near
treat it
smart
like
enough to even begin to understand the hustle and the game that's being played on this right now by the
level the playing field for a lot of people.
Dude, it's beyond us.
This is insane what they've done in 6 short years to a thing that was humming along for decades and decades and decades, right? Like, something funky's going on, and I'm not even smart enough to figure it out. There's probably a bunch of things, right?
Well, by making it so-called legal, it's called regulated. It's not legal. If it was legal, everyone could just do whatever they want, and it wouldn't be a big deal. Being regulated allows them to implement all these barriers that make it harder for the average person just to go ahead and step up and say, all right, I'm going to open up a cannabis business or do whatever. There's more hoops to jump through, to where if you don't have a lawyer and an accountant and everything else, it just, in some cases, can almost be insurmountable. So therefore, a lot of these corporations and companies come in and just, it's easy for them to go ahead and expand here and move right in, and with their knowledge and their people, they can set some of the rules up.
$1,000, right? Now, if it's not millions of dollars, it's not even. It's millions of dollars, right? Because one, you're going to have to sustain yourself with the build for almost 2 years before you're going to get able to do it, right? So first, you have to have a property building, all this, and
rent, utilities, salaries, fucking insurance, all those costs. Yeah.
Like millions of dollars. Oh yeah, right.
I think another problem you have with the actual market, that the retail market, is it's like what's it called? The always riding the coattails of the winner. It's whatever the new fad is. Flavors keep changing a lot. There's not a lot of loyalty to
keeping up with the Joneses.
It's like the fashion market. Yeah, it's like fashion. It just changes like that. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no explanation. One time one guy's popular, the other time the other.
Yeah,
I can't imagine trying to operate that, navigate that.
When I say I know it's going to turn around, just how I know bell bottoms are coming back and how mini shirts are coming back. Like, I don't know what the cycle is, but like this isn't going to stay this way.
I mean, people like good weed. That's definitely a fucking pattern through history, right? People will go out of their way for good weed, for sure.
And most of the big established brands, Jungle Boy Cookies, if you really look at their art, their whole thing, what are they really doing? They're branding to 21-year-olds. Every year, so many people are, like most of us, we smoke Mexican weed we got as teenagers or whatever, right? These kids are like coming right to like probably when they're 17, 18, somebody they know is getting weed from one of the shops. And then I feel like the problem I see now is, okay, those people are now 5, 6 years into it, and they might be disappointed in what's in the stores. But in this short period of time, what do you think? You're going to find a weed guy? There used to be a weed guy in all the little social circles. And then there was this guy and all those people, the middleman that were part of it. They're gone. They're gone. Right. So like if a guy in the store is thinking, let me see if I can find this black market or legacy market weed. Hey, good luck. We're like a needle in a haystack. Right.
Well, we got to turn these people on to home grow then. Fuck me.
Well,
That's the solution, I guess.
A different part of it. Which, as soon as they get done fucking with us, they're going to come after them. Don't think they're not.
Mhm.
Like, you don't think these states will just say, yeah, no home grow.
Plenty
Because
of
they
states have tried it. In
validated
Washington, they
food.
literally did that, bud. They literally
Yeah.
took away home grow.
And once the lobby money comes in from the industry that decides they're in their way, I think why the price is so low right now is the first few years they expect enforcement. No, there's no enforcement. It's a code violation, right? Oh, well, how else do we get rid of them? Drop the price so low. It's like the Amazon model. Oh, we can lose money for a little while as long as we can get these guys out of the way. Because I think many investors have been told, well, what happened to all this profit? Until we get rid of the black market, because you're not just going to get rid of us that easy, right? There's a lot of people like me that's like sticking it out. Oh, they got rid of a lot of people, but
That presupposes a lot of intelligence from I agree with your analysis, but that presupposes so much intelligence on the part of those people that are in charge of those big companies that I just don't think it's realistic. Like,
talking about Wall Street.
dude,
We're talking
yeah, but even then, dude, like Joel, are people on Wall Street necessarily that much smarter? I mean, you've been there, like, they're just people too.
They're better connected usually.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that
Reginald Thirdington the third, yeah.
Sectors of the economy. They've done the same thing and over and over again, right? Right. So, okay, it's being played on us, fine. That's the way I look at it. Once Wall Street gets involved, like, okay, the millions of dollars you need brings in the investors, right? And they got a lot of tricks up their sleeve.
Why don't you pull a rabbit out of my hat?
That for sure, but I think a lot of this is still fairly scattershot. I have to be honest. Like a years-long strategy to crush the black market, I think probably is not in the wheelhouse of those big interests. They would end up fighting with each other too often.
What do they consider the black market? The whole idea of a home grow isn't that you're growing and you're selling to your whole neighborhood or something. The idea is that you're growing for yourself. Like maybe you're growing for some other people. Like I guess they would consider me black market because we used to have people in our collective. I still have like two little old ladies that we sell some bud to. I mean, they're literally like 75. I mean, whoop-de-doo, and a couple of relatives that aunts and uncles that smoked that used to grow back in the day. I used to pinch their stash, and now I supply them with stuff.
Even the growers, take that away from them, they're going to go to the store, right?
Yeah,
so they're going to eliminate everything that's keeping people from going to their store, right?
This is what hardcore lives on. This is like a snack for hardcore right there. He just does it by the bottle.
Juice or what is it? Is it it's an actual liquid that you consume? What is it?
Dude, it's wood stain. It's colored wood stain, dude.
Something it used to be totally illegal all before, and people did it anyway. So I don't see all of a sudden now with things being legal, they're going to come back and say, now you can't grow it. People are going to say, you know what? Kiss my ass. You can't come here and say it's legal and say I can't grow it. It's a fucking plant.
That's going to be
real hard. It does really cool wood shit.
Like, I've only heard this said, but I assume they knew what they were saying. When Prohibition ended, alcohol, the government, everything, did everything they could to make it easy for people to go not make it so hard.
Brains.
Wait, what do you mean, bud? When Prohibition ended, what?
Okay, at that point, all these companies that are now, whatever, that's when they were able to come into the legal market of selling alcohol, right? It was prohibition for how many years, right? It was
they gave out licenses to Schlitz and all these different companies. I see what you mean.
Have to like go from that to this relatively easy compared to what we're going. Because we're the same thing. Prohibition ended, and okay.
I mean, in the same metaphor, they still had moonshiners. They still have moonshiners to this day.
I'm even talking about compared to like the grandmother that makes dandelion wine. I'm saying people had that home grow for themselves, basically make their own wine from the grapes in their backyard, or brew their own little batch of beer, not sell it to anybody. The government has no fucking right whatsoever to tell you what you cannot do, produce and consume for yourself. They can
go figure. People assume the Soviet Union was so repressive, which they assume correctly, but go figure. It was legal for my grandma to make wine and even some light distilled I don't remember what they would call it, just vodka or whatever from the wine. So they would make wine in the kitchen, I guess, and then distill it, and it was legal actually in the Soviet Union, believe it or not. Not
There
legal in
are.
the US at the time, but it was legal in fucking Ukraine at the time. Go ahead.
I'd have to go back and to look again, but now there are states. There are I keep wanting to say provinces. There are states in your guys' country that do have legalized homegrown now, home distillation, where you can have your own still, and
Yeah,
you
that's
can
true. In certain,
distill up.
and
You
there
can
are
brew wine here
distillation
and beer
businesses
here
and stuff.
in
Yeah, you have
Minnesota.
to keep it under certain circumstances, under certain thresholds. I think Oregon, you're allowed to distill actually.
Thing.
Go ahead.
Like our government, great as whatever democracy. Yeah, your freedoms are like what? We have freedom? Like they have like more restrictions on us every time you turn it on.
Land
Like
of
more
land of the
limitations
semi-free, kind of
from us,
free.
right? Like your ability to be self-sufficient is less and less, right? And okay, that's a product of super rich people want to like take all the money from people that are below them. That's how we're here.
Right today. Interesting discussion, fellas. I think maybe we should put a pin in it soon because otherwise we'll just keep talking forever. But fascinating discussion, actually, in the end. Uh,
Like you ever
We're talking
use
about slightly, I think in the last little bit, we've been talking about slightly different things. Bud is definitely a proponent of the traditional market, I guess we'll say, and
Whoop
North
whoop.
Star and a few of the rest of us have been more advocating the homegrown market. I believe that. I think that there's more future in the individual home growers. I think we should band together. I think we should honestly really support each other because I think the corporate interests really do want to get rid of home grow. Like North Star said, having no other option but the store, or maybe Bud said that, having no other option but the store is going to make it easy for them to sell you shitty weed, and they only really know how to sell shitty weed, especially
like
when they
I've
underpay their
said this
employees and
last
everything
Versus
else.
Canada.
Yeah.
but like if you're a home grower and you like don't know am I against or for, you're part of the traditional market as a home grower. You're not part of the legal market,
No, I
right?
would agree. No,
Like
we have more in common than we do apart, which
yeah,
has always been one of the most singularly infuriating parts of the toxic cannabis community, because everyone's at each other's fucking throats. The people who like this one breeder don't like the other people who like this other
Let's see
breeder.
a thing
The people who like this kind
on
of
your phone.
growing don't
Pull.
like this other kind. Like so many different artificial fights that we've had on this show and others. We all basically are on the same side. Go ahead, Bud.
that
And
are friends of mine that I like known a long time. They're in the legal market. What was it? What's it called in Vegas? Whatever like the big convention
MJ
they have.
BizCon.
Okay, I somehow my feed on Instagram fed me stuff, and that was when it changed. Like I realized, oh no, there is a line. There is a line. Them and us. Okay, I'm sorry.
Mm.
It's not like we're no. Those people are going one direction.
oh,
And
Junie, buddy.
I'm trying to stay in this
Oh, is that
direction.
the gel stain there?
We're at odds with each other. And yeah, not that I'm not friends with them and stuff, but like, yeah, a different vibe about it all now. If that's what you think, then yeah, you think different than me. If you're supporting the system that is failing on all levels, right? And you're in it, well, I don't know. I
Johnny,
guess I think they're all just lined up hoping, right? That's like it, right? I never got into this to get rich. I got into it to be all comfortable. That it takes money to live, but no, money was never my priority. And I've noticed all the guys I knew that did this over the years, they quit already. Yeah, and in my mind, I have a term, money grubbers. It's
uh,
all right. A lot of people got into it because
they were in it for the money first and
as
foremost.
soon as
Yeah,
that money went away, they were done,
yeah.
right? And okay,
No, there are some people who would continue growing plants if it cost them money, right? But if it doesn't make money, there's a lot of people who would stop growing
I
it for
remember
sure.
in 2013 in a panel at High Times, Trichrome Can, I think, that guy. He was giving this panel about Terps. Back then, hardly Terps wasn't even a word. But like, and there was like a couple hundred people in this room. And he said, yeah, when weed's $50 a pound, and the whole room gasped, right? Like that was an unbelievable concept, right? He was basically saying that weed is very unique in agriculture for its variety of terpenes that it creates. Where there's industry, people grow lilac, rosemary, all these things for extraction, right?
Has a very
Those
limited
plants
terpene profile.
produce
Yeah.
this and that terpene, that's it. Cannabis produces every one under the sun, as we found out. And some of these terpenes are super valuable, really valuable, right?
Yeah, I remember
And
years ago, Valencine that you can find in very orangey cannabis was like $10,000 a liter or some shit. It was crazy.
like he like pitching way back when, this is over 10, 12, 13 years ago, that when weed's $50 a pound, it's going to be a crop for just terpenes, like the weed is value. Like, because I don't know all the names of them, but yeah, some of them are like super, they're like, and there's a market for all of those. Yeah, pine and citrus, those are, some of the cheaper ones. You get into some of these other ones that are minute amounts, but they're super valuable, and yeah. And I always remember that panel while I was listening to it, and I remember, yeah, that guy Ken, yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. He says some smart things. I know him. That he's a smart guy. And way back when he was
Well,
saying, yeah,
reality of it is anyone who thought that
38 pounds when he said that.
I remember Brown Guy 420, I want to say, who had the YouTube channel, and he was the grower in Southern Oregon stuff. Now he does extractions, but they built their business model on their outdoor farm there on the premise that weed was going to be $2,500, $2,700 a pound.
Yeah.
They literally, it was like 27, that was above what it was back then. So they were making very, very rosy predictions, and go figure, it didn't end up that way.
Prop 64 and all that was based on, I think, 24 or
that was he was in Southern Oregon.
I'd love to see the $50 a pound bud be the average everywhere. I'd love to see how much hyper is behind it now on like social media. How many people are hyping up all kinds of cannabis stuff? How much that might just kind of start quieting down. Like, all right,
well, it's $50 a fucking pound for your gelato. Yeah.
In California, it was a big thing when we voted in the lottery, right? And the whole thing was, all this money's going to go to the school. This is when they had one lottery thing a week. Now the lottery is huger than fucking other $1 billion payouts. Shit. The schools, teachers have to buy their own pencils to give to students. Shit. Like, no money ever got to the schools that I can see. Same thing with cannabis. Prop 64, the ads on TV was infrastructure, this money, all this money from the taxes based on these numbers that don't exist anymore. Revenue. I don't see any of that happening. Right? Like, wait,
kind of a scam.
Putting any money back into the things they said? No. It's being like pilfered off to all kinds of crazy stuff. And the fact that they let the price drop so much when their taxes are based on a percentage of the price, that seems odd.
Well, I don't know if they would have been able to prop up the price. Like you said, there was that crazy oversupply. How are they going to prop up the price?
Prices haven't dropped. Is basically eights are still $50, right?
Yeah, the store price is the same. You're right.
I think the big problem is a lot of the money that normally be kept locally is now being actually funneled out of the state and other places into larger corporations. So you were delocalized, taking the money and just taking it away from the area.
Well, and I think your county isn't, but the tri-counties are in a crisis where the sales tax has dropped so much in the last 6 years, and that's what paid their budget of like everything in Humboldt, Trinity, and those tri-counties. I saw a whole story about it, and it coincides. Yeah, 7 years ago when we legalized it, the amount of licenses they have up there that they collect from is minuscule to the amount sales tax that they've lost. And a lot of that is, there's no more trimmers, there's no more people, there's no more this, all the stores.
The economy was based off of it.
Yeah. And they're in a crisis. They're going to have to borrow whatever because they won't make the end of the year fucking budget for their county because most of it came from sales tax that is just plummeting. So there's a little problem with that. I remember there was a group out of Berkeley when this all started that they were saying not this legalization method. Just make it that people could grow weed and file their income tax that way, and you'd be better off in the long run, right? And yeah,
You're probably
even
right.
though that would seem crazy, that probably would have boosted the economy way more than this. This is designed to hurt that. Yeah, I had 15, 20 people down the line that most of them had jobs, but no, they supplemented themselves from being middle or whatever they did, right? Or worked for me. No, I had none of those exist anymore. You know, slowly but surely, they didn't just give up. It just went away, right? Yeah, that, and I was no different than all the other guys I knew, right? Like, right? We didn't hurt anybody. We just brought good. It wasn't like other vice economies that have tremendous negative effects on the people involved, right? Yeah, and in one way we took all that away. Like that's one of the saddest things. I'm still friends with all those people. They still get small amounts of weed out of their own money. They were guys that were the weed guy, right? And those guys have kind of been eliminated. And that was a big thing, like across the whole country. You know, for decades, my dad was a weed guy. So Hawkins Spears. My best friend, dad worked at the Porsche dealer. He sold Colombian, right? Like, yeah, that that was more beneficial to society and people than this. Other than people don't go to jail for a little while.
It was a level of progression too. You wanted to make your way up to meeting the guy, and you had to go through. You know, the prices got better along the way. You moved more product, and then eventually met the dude, and then you were like that dude.
Yeah. and like being that dude for a long time, like this is like first off, I feel like I've been demoted to below button. Like being a grower was the top of the food chain for decades, right? But like when I had customers, they didn't nickel me every deal for $25 or anything because most likely next month I would be like, they'd be the last person I'd call. Like there was like if you had a connection to a guy like me, oh, you savored it and you didn't like do little shit like nickel them for every fucking penny you can. And today, there ain't a deal that goes down that right at the end they're trying to say, well, okay, how about we take this amount? Which I'm the kind of guy that goes, sure. I don't like the back and forth. Which that's a problem I have because in today's world you have to like be this way. Like, you have to hold your ground. Like I always just say, sure, whatever. Here. But now I realize you can't do that because everybody around the chain is going to try to do that to you. Where in the old days, or not that long ago.
Yo, we gotta be careful if America fucks around and finds out about this Schedule 3 thing, dude. I'm pretty sure they don't let you make any other Schedule 3 drugs at your house.
Many customers.
We'll be back in the bushes before you know it.
You're not lying, J5. People are worried about that. Even people with medical cards and stuff. People are worried that you're not allowed to make Tylenol at home. You know, so what's going to happen?
I don't know how the thing is that you don't grow Tylenol either. What other? It's a class.
I mean, yeah, it's absurd. You know what? Are they going to have a whole enforcement mechanism? They're going to fucking bring the ATF back and get the anti-weed police or something. Oh my God, he's making fucking Schedule 3 weed at home.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's ridiculous.
Aspen basically.
Would you put it past our government at this point?
I say this: when these articles and these sting operations in LA, where they tested twice in a year and found all these pesticides, gnarly pesticides, ones that aren't even available in the world.
Yeah. In all the biggest brands, Steezy and all of them, yeah.
I remember reading that and going, yeah, well, I smoke mainly my own weed. And any weed I smoke from somebody else, I feel pretty confident they're not using any of that shit or even the few things that we used to use through our ignorance about all this, right? Avid and DC, right? So but then if you listen to people in the legal market describe the black market and you don't know what you're getting and they have this whole
Well, because
picture.
in all fairness, you don't always know. But Bud, you got to admit that there's plenty of fucking shysters out there spraying whatever the fuck on their plants. They don't
Here's the
give a
thing, too.
shit.
The more you hear all that, the more it drives more people to home grow. So they have control over what
I
they
saw a
have.
bottle of
Because
Eagle
they're not
20
going to
at a
care what
grocery
the government
store.
says. They're going to say, I'm growing my own
Yep.
shit because I want to make sure
Yep.
I'm not sucking in poisons or microplastics
Yep.
or all the other shit. I want to minimize
Yep.
all that. That's the only way to truly know you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right down from where I sit right now, I saw a bottle of Eagle 20 on the store shelf within the last 2
I know a
months.
guy that claims to be a really good grower, and the first time I saw him, I went into his room. He was battling fungus gnats, and there was like 3 empty cans of Raid sitting inside of his
Nice.
grow room.
Nice.
And I'm like, what are you using those for? Oh no, those were just
I got that raid terp on this flower. Yeah.
Raid.
No, but like one
Oh
of the
my God.
pesticides they caught them using was a termite pesticide that was banned by the UN in 1950.
Oh, super.
Like,
By the whole fucking
imagine
UN. So it had to be great.
that they're testing for these things, right? Basically, the things that we all know about, Avid, Eagle 20. Okay,
Right.
so if you're at one of those places, oh, you're not
Yeah,
going to
they
use
got
those.
that shit that
Hey, they ain't testing for this shit from 50, 80 years ago that is banned in the world. China will make you anything. Like, because even that article.
Where'd you get this? North Korea?
Where they sourced it. Well, you know, China will make you anything, right? And if legal cannabis grows stoop to that level, like that list of pesticides was gnarly, dude. Like it was bad shit. Like
No, I remember, yeah. And the companies were so defensive about it, but very, very legalistic about it because they were using those things.
Party suppliers. Like, okay, yeah, right. Like they were so full of it. You know what? It was a big story and it just washed away. Life went on. You know, like, hey, most
No, I'll
people
never forget. I went to a big cannabis show. This is a couple, 3, 4 years ago now, probably. It was maybe towards the end of COVID, I want to say. So maybe it was only a couple, 3 years ago. It doesn't fucking matter for the sake of argument. But it was a big cannabis show. It was one of the first big cannabis shows again in Oregon, and it was more or less kind of a corporate event, I guess you could say. They still had a bunch of dispensaries from around town. They were there, but it was a lot of like kind of bigger brands and stuff. So I just kind of went for fun. Anyway, there was this booth at the end of the whole hall. They filled up this whole hall basically, and it was like you walked around this center area, and so there was booths all the way like a big U, or a big O, and there were booths all the way around and then all the way on the inside. But the whole end was one big fucking booth. And I remember asking a couple people, and they were like, "Oh yeah, just to rent that booth was a few $1,000s." But all the shit they had plants and fucking lights hanging from the ceiling. It had to be a good $80,000 to $100,000 booth. Literally, to put up that booth at a 2-day cannabis show was 80 to 100,000 fucking dollars. Out of curiosity, I just got to talking with they had the head grower there, and because I think the owner, one of the owners, basically introduced the guy. Oh, this is our head grower, and I just got to talk to him, and I was like, "Oh, what do you guys do for IPM?" He didn't know the word IPM. He was like, what's IPM?" And I was just like, "Oh, I don't know, the pest management, blah 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 blah." He was still lost. He still didn't know what I was talking about. The guy didn't know the head grower of this multi-million-dollar company, didn't know what they do for IPM,
that's
didn't
not
know what they do
PM,
for
them's
pest
track
management.
phones.
100%. So like, what does the guy actually know? At that point, I just kind of exited the conversation politely because I was like, "Oh, this is not going the way that I wanted it to." And but like, my point is like, plenty of these companies that have millions invested in the warehouse and the lights, whatever, hire some doofus to fucking grow it. Maybe he's cousin to fucking Johnny, the CFO or something. Guy doesn't know shit from fuck, and basically he sprays whatever the fuck he wants to just because he's trying to save the crop for Uncle Billy or whatever, right? I don't know. Hopefully I made sense. It blew my mind, blows my mind to this day that a guy like that could not know anything.
my
Pardon, go ahead.
friend Mark owned San Diego Hydro and Marcos and Oceanside for like 20 some years, right?
Right on.
Worked for him for 16 years, and they like both of them are really good friends of mine. One day, the next, the store closed. I'd been in touch with Mark over the years, but I lost track of Zach. Oh, I got in touch with Zach this week. We were all talking, and like I'm really having a hard time driving 45 minutes or more to get to the only store in Marietta totally other county because Grow Generation bought all the stores and shut them all down, right? And then you go to the main one. It's like the size. It's way like I've never seen stores this big. Like it's like way oversized for the need.
Yeah, I've never seen them full either. You know, like
Yeah,
there's always
no
like
one's
3
ever
people in
there.
it.
No
2 of
one's
them are
ever
the
there.
employees.
But the 2 guys, there's 3 guys, but 2 of them that I talk to, like I don't even bother. And no, wait, Zach and anybody at that store, because sometimes they weren't there. When I went to the other store, I put a few buds in a bag, and whoever helped me, right? That's why I got taken care of so well there. I've never thought to bring these 2 stooges at this other Grow Generation. They know nothing, even though they're like hippie looking, long hairs and shit. Like I had a few conversations where I realized, oh, they don't know anything about growing at all. They just work at the store. They don't know anything, right?
My
Mark,
buddy's mom used to bring cake to the
experience
dispensaries.
and picked up at
That's
what was
great.
going on. So many new growers came in there, and those guys would be helping them out fair and square. Oh, these 2 guys at this other place, I can't even believe. And they've been there for years.
Ryan would say, "Hey, I wanted that cake."
Yeah,
No,
like,
dude, she'd get
they're
hooked
not
up. She'd bring
growers.
like cakes and just other like baked desserts or whatever. And normally she would bake them, but every once in a while she'd be like in a hurry and she'd go to fucking Costco or whatever and grab a cake and then like switch it out and put it in a Rubbermaid container and give it to him.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
Always
that's
hook her
pretty
up. You
solid.
never expected anything out of it, but they'd always give her at least a couple
one of the
pre-rolls
things
for it.
we've lost in the last so many years, I think most of us on here, even though we come from different walks, we have like a code. We have like a code of being right. And in today's world, yeah, man, the other side, the bad, the shyster, whatever, seems to have the upper hand of it for the last few years. You know, I know the good's going to
I don't
prevail in the
disagree.
end. I believe that. But man, I've never felt like the negative energy out in the world ever been more than it is now, at least my lifetime, compared to the good and the bad. There's always the good and the bad out there. Good people, bad people. Good energy, bad energy. Yeah, I've always lived in the good energy, try to be
Hey,
right.
I'm not fearing a horse cavalry coming and chopping my head off, so I'm good.
And in today's world, it seems like
Hardcores
the
and not
people that are
hardcores.
successful are the ones that take the opposite tack, and it's hard to watch that. But I believe stick to your code, stick to what you believe
You
in.
decide
and,
which one's wrong.
you know, because in the
You know-
end, you just got to live with yourself, no matter how bad it is all around you. Because I know some of those people, like the money grubbers. Yeah, you know, this fuck, dude. That's another whole thing. Like energy's energy, karma, all that stuff. Like, you know, I've had a few people make so much money and then they had a heart attack and died before they could enjoy it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
There was an Israeli Belgian billionaire. I think he was born in Belgium, but he got his Israeli citizenship or something. Anyway, this is actually only a few years ago that this happened. He was like 55 or something. I cannot for the life of me Belgium. So I think it was actually diamonds. I think he was like a diamond billionaire, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, he died on the operating table getting a penis enlargement at the age of 55. And so basically
This is it.
that's it. It's
If you
gone.
liked big dicks, then you cannot
I
lie.
guess.
I got the
But you know what? He didn't even get to enjoy his fucking millions or anything, right?
I'm gonna sign off because my old partner just brought the valve, the right size valve to replace on the tote.
Nice.
And I gotta get my tote back in action if I have enough water.
Well, right on. Well, it's good seeing you. Well, that might be our
Yeah,
cue to
I'll see
take
you
off here,
Saturday.
even though I just
Saturday
rolled
I'll
his
come
free
on
joint.
because I'll have some tales from this event I'm going to go to on Saturday.
Nice.
I probably won't stick around that late to see burner rap, but yeah, because I don't know how late it's going, but I'll be out of there. I'll
I'm not
probably
the
go
biggest
there
fan of his
and like
rap, I have to be
normal,
frank.
be all excited about the thing, and then get there and be like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" And get the fuck out.
Seriously.
All right,
Later, bud. Good to see you.
hey, bud, are you leaving right now?
Well, I rolled it.
Later,
I might
bud.
as well light it up anyway. Been an interesting discussion, folks. Wide ranging, but I still believe in the homegrown North Star. I think we're on the right path with that. I think that really is the future of the weed culture. I think people have misinterpreted. I think this corporate takeover of cannabis is just it's an attempted takeover of the culture. You know what I mean? And when
I think
those when
there's
those money
more and
grubbers,
more information out there that's
Mm.
attainable to everybody, and as older generations move in, more acceptable cultural acceptance is just
Mm.
taking place. Where at some point you're going to be like, seriously, you're banning cannabis? That's to be like banning exactly like banning lavender or rosemary,
Mhm.
or banning somebody from making homemade wine in their house if it's they're
Yeah,
making 2 gallons of wine or something and they're of
seriously.
age, like they're adults and they're doing it in their own house. It's going to get to that point to where it's just like a natural homemade little, whether it be a remedy or a libation, that's no
Yeah.
big deal. It's not like you're going to set up a meth lab in your garage or something. So
No, I think I've seen that already just in the last 4 or 5 years. The attitude to cannabis has just chilled the fuck out. So even in Oregon, where it's been legal in one way or another for a long time now, good 20 years, medical and so on and so forth. So it's been part of the culture. Same thing in California. It's still not like a totally normal thing, right? But literally in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe partly because of COVID, I don't know what exactly, but people have just chilled the fuck out. When you talk to people and you say, "Oh, you grow weed or something," it used to be like, "Holy shit, you grow weed?" Now it's like, oh yeah, my uncle, they'll tell you their uncle grows weed or something, like it's a normal fucking thing now. So yeah.
Everyone
exactly.
in the DMV was staring at me because I had a bowl of weed on me.
Nice,
Like
Johnny.
I had a bowl that I just took like 2 hits off of and put it in my pocket, and it was kind of a stuffy little DMV with like a dozen people in there.
That's kind of playing with fire, though. Honestly,
That's the
not
best too. I
supposed
like
to be.
that feeling, man. Everyone looks over like,
The
"Ooh,
people
what's
at
that?"
the DMV probably have to smoke weed to get through the day to work at the DMV, so they probably are with you, but at the same time, like, that's a tough one.
Well, half of them were like elderly people that look like,
Of
"Ooh, I
course,
recognize
hardcore
that
walks
smell a
into the
little bit."
fucking DMV with his stinky bowl in his pocket. Motherfucker.
I love it, dude. If I got a bag
You
of really
just
stinky
snuff
weed,
out
I'll
your
open it up
joint,
before I
snuff it
go in the
out, and just put
store.
it in your ear and walk up to the counter.
Dude, if I got a bag of weed that stinks really good, I'll fucking open it up before I walk into the store just so it
There you
fucking
go.
wafts
There you
around.
go.
He's hardcore, folks.
That's it. That's why we call him hardcore. Fucked hard. All right, boys and girls. On that note, let's start getting out of here. Johnny Five, you want to go first, buddy, with your killer
Hey,
sticker?
5, still alive.
On 25. Now I got a real picture of 25.
Peace out. What up, chat?
Later, Johnny.
Thanks, Fumi.
Hey, J5.
I'll hop off later, guys.
Later.
Go for hardcore. Our resident artiste.
Your mom is Septilis tubophilus.
That's pretty good. Just subtle tub filler. Go for it, hardcore. I mean, go for it, North Star.
Thanks for having me on. I want to say to everybody, find something every day to appreciate.
Good
Something
advice.
out there. You can find something every day to appreciate it. Make you feel good about the day.
Cheers, North Star. Good to see you.
Peace. Take it easy.
Welcome. Go for it, D.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Just a reminder, this Saturday, like every Saturday, it's the takeover, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, with my show and with the pre-show on my channel. Before that, check your local listings. Don't forget to like, subscribe, blah 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 to all this and that and this and my channel and that channel.
Yes, indeed.
Hope everyone has a great rest of the week. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks Fumi and all the panel, like always, for doing this Fumi. And we'll see everybody on Saturday.
Cheers, D. Good to see you. Thanks, everyone that hopped on the panel. In the end, we had a great discussion. Good to see Bud and all the rest of them. Good to see Bud really taking life with both hands. I don't know, that's a strange metaphor, but you know what I'm trying to say. Good to see him working on that still. I've seen that garden. I've seen that grow, so I'm very excited to see him able to work on it himself and reap the rewards, hopefully himself. Anyway, in a paradisiacal area, you guys would not believe how wonderful the weather is there. It's just absolutely something else. When Bud talks about how lovely it is, he's not lying. It really is just absolutely a Mediterranean climate. It's actually the only place in America, I think they say, that has a truly Mediterranean climate, because the Gulf is different. It's a lot more humid and so on. Anyway, regardless, so good for him. Folks, good to see everybody in the chat. Good to see Agnes and I Gruesome. Great to see you, buddy. Stone Root in the house. Good to see you again. Mark Rish, Big Terp. Who else in here? Dr. Leave You Alone. Good to see you, buddy. I don't think I said hello to you earlier. Who else in here that I've missed? Plenty of names that I seem to be skipping over here. I got everybody. Justin Bean. Who else is hanging with us? Dr. DGC Jeff still hanging. Love for the Plant's been dropping very interesting comments. He's very concerned about Schedule 3. I am too. I'd like to, one of these days, I want to try to get a couple pharmacists that I sort of know. Kind of lost touch with them, so I'm going to have to email them in a little bit. Anyway, whatever. It's a work in progress. I'd like to talk to some people about what they think about what the future is. Again, it's going to be speculation, but at least they would have some education in the subject. Who else in here? Yeah, Love for the Planet said, I've been vocal about that and was even critical about the previous administration wanting it correct. Joe Biden was thinking about rescheduling, and I remember that Love for the Planet was famously against that. Definitely a fraught discussion, because it could involve the removal of potential home grow, right? Like that would just be ridiculous. So yeah, ladies and gerbils, with that, I guess we'll start to end this. Thanks very much for joining us. Website is still not up, I promise. I'm still trying to bring it back, but life's just been busy. Ladies and gerbils, stay tuned. Thanks very much for hanging with us. Be kind, be decent, be gentle, don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. Cheers, Pip Jam. Good to see you, buddy. Until we meet again, my friends, puff something wonderful. And in paraphrasing, I guess we could say, for North Star, hope you guys are able to puff something wonderful. Or not, if you're not able to puff something wonderful, do something else that will treat you in some way. Even a cookie or a nice cup of coffee by the frickin' pretty view somewhere. Maybe you have a nice view in your town. Maybe just go there and have a cup of coffee. Even that sometimes is enough to lighten your mood. And of course, if you know a dog or a kitty cat, make sure to give them a scritch for us. I'm sure D Zombie would say the same thing. But other than that, my friends, be kind, rewind, and